Chapter 429. Su Fang's voice was like thunder. Of course I know that. But how much source energy do you think I can absorb? How shocking is a world's source energy? Do you think just absorbing a tiny bit of it will cause the minor world's balance to wither? That's not what I meant. The flame monster thought he was just an indestructible cultivator who didn't understand the world's source energy. Tell me what you know. In the depths of the Earth's core, lava is constantly accumulating and exploding. It's been at least 10 million years since it was born. During this time, a rock that was submerged in lava but didn't melt gave birth to spiritual chi and absorbed the essence of the earth. Who would have thought that 1,000,000 years ago, the spirit stone would bloom? The spirit stone bloomed. That spirit stone surpassed any spirit vein, and it also gave birth to the world's source energy. As for the stone flower that bloomed, it was the quintessence of the quintessence. It was a fire tribute spirit treasure. It could be considered one of the true source treasures of the Zhua Tian world. According to what you're saying, the Zhua Tian world should have quite a few source treasures. Of course, there's quite a few. They're all formed over countless years. There are stones, plants, and even life forms. They're the most abundant in the depths of the Earth's core. The lava here isn't very large, and the source energy here isn't very strong. Otherwise, it would have formed even more source treasures. In all these years, not a single human has come to take them. Even Tribulation Realm cultivators can't come here. It's hard for human experts to take away source treasures. Furthermore, not everyone can cultivate source treasures. Otherwise, I would have already devoured the stone flower and used it to cultivate. I would have long since become an immortal and flown away from this minor world. But the spirit vein in the cave above was left behind by humans. I'm not sure. I've only been here for tens of thousands of years. Before me, there were peerless experts who came here, but they didn't take away the source treasures. I'm definitely taking the stone flower. As for the source spirit stone, forget about it. It won't be easy for you to get the stone flower. Unless you have that fire tribute pagoda from before, and it's also a king-grade enchanted item. If you continue like this, you'll be incinerated in less than 10 breaths. The flame monster still didn't want Su Fang to go down and take the stone flower. But what it said was right. Xian Wang's Six Paths Pagoda was assisting Dao Wuyang and Shu Shuai in seizing the essence embryo spiritual milk. They had to hurry up and wait for the other two to seize the treasures before going down to retrieve the stone flower. There was no time to lose. He had to get the stone flower. Origin treasure. Moreover, it was an origin treasure of the Zhua Tian realm. This was an even more perfect origin treasure than the Black Lotus True Body obtained from the Seven Stars Demon Island. As long as he grasped the origin of the Zhua Tian realm, his cultivation in this world would be like a fish in water, and his speed would rise to an unimaginable level. There's a way. Su Fang suddenly looked pleasantly surprised. His true body entered the Rakshasa jade vase. Suddenly, countless strands of true chi rushed towards the 100-legged fire monster. The 100-legged fire monster didn't dare to resist the might of the royal great artifact. What? What are you going to do? The 100-legged flame monster trembled in fear. Su Fang used the true devil blood plate and condensed a shocking true devil imprint. I won't kill you, but I won't let you off for nothing. Only you can enter the lava world. Only by completely suppressing you can I enter your body and take the stone flower. You, who would have thought that he would be suppressed? Wouldn't it become Su Fang's slave? It's not up to you to refuse. Whoosh! The true devil imprint merged with the true devil imprint and entered the 100-legged fire monster's mind. It also had a young nascent soul, and the true devil imprint was like a treasure armor that tightly bound the young nascent soul. The young nascent soul of a giant demon was very different from a human's. A human's young nascent soul could cultivate, become stronger, and protect itself through all kinds of divine abilities. However, a giant demon's young nascent soul was just pure yuan spirit energy. It was very easy to imprison it. Now you know how powerful I am. I'll let you out and enter your stomach. We'll enter the lava world and help me take the stone flower, and I'll leave. You'll still be the overlord of this place. After saying that, Su Fong and the 100-legged fire monster disappeared together with the Rakshasa jade vase. Dao Wuyang, Rat Marshal, I'm going to control the fire monster to leave the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda for a while. You can continue fighting for treasures. Don't worry about me. Su Fong flew out of the Xianhuang Pagoda. The 100-legged fire monster also appeared in the blazing flame space. When it saw Su Fong, it helplessly opened its mouth. Its body temperature was normal. After Su Fong entered, he didn't smell any disgusting odors. Who told the 100-legged fire monster to lack food in the core world? With a flash, he arrived in the 100-legged fire monster's mouth. Through the protection of its demonic chi, he saw that he was in a world of lava. This was too terrifying. The boiling lava could even melt King Grey Dharma treasures. Furthermore, the 100-legged fire monster was also powerful. If it didn't have this kind of fire tribute ability, it would have long since died. A large number of smaller fire monsters quickly gathered around the 100-legged fire monster, treating it as a supreme king. He quickly arrived in the depths of the lava. Bailing light suddenly blinded Su Fong so much that he couldn't open his eyes. What terrifying spiritual chi! After adjusting to it for a while, he saw an irregular spirit stone that looked like a walking stick at the center of the lava world. Other than being filled with spiritual chi, it also contained core energy. What was core energy? It was an energy that could fuse demonic chi, devil chi, and true chi with nature's wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. From a certain perspective, origin power could be said to be a part of origin power. Origin power was a natural energy formed when the spirit gourd matured in the heavenly gourd world. As a result, Su Fong's body already possessed some of the Zhuotian realm's core energy. Adding on the fact that he grew up in the Zhuotian realm, it wasn't difficult for him to absorb it. The 100-legged fire monster slowly approached. After rising for a while, there really was a bowl-sized yellow flower at the top of the core energy stone. It was said that stones could bloom. This was the first time Su Fong had seen such an inconceivable natural flower. Furthermore, the spirit energy of the stone flower was core energy. Within 3 meters of the stone flower, there wasn't the slightest bit of lava or matter. It was like an invisible astral chi was blocking everything outside. This was the power of a spiritual item. Su Fong looked around. Many small fire monsters appeared. This is also your nest, right? The fire monster replied, I cultivate here all year round because this lava space has the most spiritual chi. Unfortunately, I don't have a cultivation technique. If I did, I would be able to absorb this spiritual chi. I'm confident that I can reach the giant demon realm within 1,000 years and ascend to the great world. Now, help me take the stone flower. Come closer. Su Fong ordered again. The huge demonic body slowly approached the spirit stone. Its head stretched out, and a wave of demonic chi emerged. Su Fong flew towards the stone flower along with the demonic chi. Bang! When it was 3 meters away from the stone flower, it was blocked by an invisible force. However, the invisible force only reached the young, nascent soul realm. The latter's spirit fire used the 100-legged fire monster's power to gradually enter the astral chi. Fire monster, protect the surroundings. I want to leave your demonic chi and fuse with the stone flower. With a thought, the 100-legged fire monster released its demonic chi and surrounded the upper half of the spirit stone. It drove away most of the lava and formed a space of 5 meters. The temperature was still shocking. Su Fong decisively came out from the demonic chi's protection. Sizzle, the invisible high temperature immediately pressured Su Fong's flesh divine armor. A layer of sparks ignited outside the armor. Terrifying. The 100-legged fire monster had already blocked the lava outside, but the temperature inside was still so shocking. Fortunately, Su Fong's cultivation was high. In a few steps, he sat down in front of the stone flower and carefully touched it. The stone flower was slightly bigger than the black lotus. It was yellowish in color, but the inner petals were sparkling and translucent. It really grew from the spirit stone and perfectly fused with the spirit stone. Origin spirit. From today onwards, I am the master. The condensed blood chi, together with the 9 yang power in his body, was Su Fang's true energy. The two energies fused together like a blood-colored whirlpool, slowly enveloping the stone flower. Sizzle. Sizzle, the stone flower's protective power immediately rubbed against the blood-colored energy, causing dazzling sparks. Soon after, the stone flower seemed to sense something. Perhaps it was the nirvana force absorbed in the past, or perhaps it was Su Fang absorbing the Zhuotian domain's essence through cultivation, or perhaps it was his perfect physical body, or fusing with the Black Lotus true body and possessing the Wu Tan domain's origin. In short, the stone flower no longer repelled, and the sparks gradually disappeared. The blood chi energy also completely came into contact with the stone flower. At this moment, the blood-colored energy had turned into a trickling stream, slowly flowing into the stone flower's petals. The process was very slow. Melting the origin spirit item was not something that could be done in a short period of time. I'm afraid it will take half a year for the stone flower to acknowledge me. During this time, I can absorb the origin energy released by the spirit stone. After absorbing a large amount of origin energy, I might be able to become the Zhuotian domain's domain lord through my own methods, just like 7-star child. The origin energy began to follow Su Fang's yin and yang power into his body. There was also the abundant spirit energy from the spirit stone. This was a natural spirit energy that even 7-star child's spatial altar could not compare to. Su Fang wanted to take away the spirit stone as a whole. After thinking about it again, he instead agreed with the 100-legged fire monster. He could not take away the origin energy of this world because of his own selfish desires. It would definitely affect the overall balance of this territory. The origin energy in his body was not terrifying. This kind of origin energy was only a kind of high-level energy that was not vast. It was the essence of all living things in the Zhuotian domain. It was like a fountain that nourished and nourished countless life forms. But the spirit energy from the spirit stone was different. Su Fangda wantonly absorbed it, gradually filling up his golden origin core, 3 yang meridians, purple chi spirit, and countless meridians. It allowed Su Fang to absorb the spirit energy into the Rakshasa jade bottle and store it inside for future cultivation. After the process of absorbing the origin energy, Su Fang gradually felt that the surrounding temperature had become constant. There was no shackle on him at all. This was a kind of divine power that could only be obtained by absorbing the origin energy. It was a kind of divine power that could fuse with nature and make nature acknowledge it. This was a peerless ability. No wonder the Domain Lord was the strongest existence in a small world. He was most likely a peerless overlord in a supreme galaxy. Absorbing bit by bit, time continued to pass. Su Fang really wanted to cultivate here for a long time. With so many resources, why would he need to seal the immortal gate? Once I leave here, I can immediately break through to Undying Stage 10. During the process, he was still calculating the time. He did not expect that after 3 months, the stone flower still had not fused. The origin energy in his body had increased quite a bit, but compared to all the energy in his body, the origin energy was not even a millionth of it. The Dragon Taming Wood's left arm is also starting to automatically absorb the origin energy. Then, the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd. Su Fang found that some of the origin energy was being absorbed by the Dragon Taming Wood's left arm. It seemed that the origin energy was causing the spirit treasures to grow and become stronger. He immediately communicated with the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda and had it release the Fire God Elephant, the Fire Crystal Stone Man, and the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd. After a while, the treasures came to the depths of the lava and burned with astonishing flames. They would not be incinerated for a while, but after a long time, it would be different. Quickly sucking them into the space, the flames disappeared. The spirit treasures felt the origin energy and were already making noise. They also needed the support of the origin energy. Chapter 430. The Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd and the Fire God Elephant were many times more powerful than the Fire Crystal Men. The fire crystal men could not form the most powerful fire elemental treasures. Their purpose was to set up the 8 primordial spiritual elephant formation. The 2 spiritual treasures and the 13 fire crystal men came into the space. Although there was no lava, they were affected by the high temperature and released a shocking amount of fiery energy. Luckily, under Su Fang's control, a large amount of origin energy and spiritual energy entered the spiritual treasures. Under the high temperature, it also brought the fire elemental energy that the fire elemental spiritual treasures needed. The fire crystal men were almost melting into liquid. The fire god elephant's trunk swayed slightly, and many true scriptures spread out from its body. It greedily absorbed the origin energy and spiritual energy. In the process, the fire god elephant's body gradually grew and became a few dozen feet tall elephant monster. The flaming cloud spiritual gorge reaction was slightly slower. After all, it was the life spiritual gourd and the wood elemental essence. This was something that the fire god elephant could not compare to. The life energy of the flaming cloud spiritual gourd fused with the origin energy and could control spiritual energy. Especially since it was born from the origin energy of the Zhuotian realm, it could almost reach the level of the fire monster and control the high temperature around it. Crackle. The spiritual treasures started to remove some impurities and absorb the origin energy faster and faster. Seeing this, Su Fang let the spiritual treasures cultivate on their own. He had no other thoughts. He absorbed the origin energy and fused with the stone flower. In this world of lava, Su Fang was not in any danger. The only danger was the 100-legged fire monster, but it was suppressed. Hence, there was no danger. His body and mind could relax and reach the best state for cultivation. In the cave above the lava. Crackle, crackle. Under the protection of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, Dao Wuliang and Xu Shuai became lumberjacks. They controlled the sword and cut back and forth. The two looked at each other and continued to cut. They were exhausted. They looked at the origin energy spiritual milk again and saw that it was only a foot deep. How long would it take? It was as if they were back in the celestial ceiling sect's immortal seeking peak. When Su Fang first joined the sect, he was mining and polishing spiritual stones. The origin energy spiritual milk was already very strong. Together with the mountain below, it was not easy to cut it. It was also shackled by the high temperature. At this moment, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda was releasing a golden and silver light. Some gold and silver vapor seemed to be constantly discharged from the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, along with some strange aura. Taking a closer look, the cracks on the surface of the mysterious yellow were less than 1% of what they used to be, and they were still recovering at an astonishing speed. Although the high temperature of the magma could melt a royal Grey Dao artifact, it was meaningless to a fire-type royal Grey Dao artifact. Moreover, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda was close to a Dao artifact. The Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda was in a damaged state. It could use the high temperature to refine the Xianhuang stone, primordial jade stone, and countless gold and silver. It could fuse the essence with the high temperature of the magma world and use the essence to repair itself. This kind of opportunity did not come often. The Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda could also cultivate in normal volcanoes or magma areas. However, the effect was far less than in the core world. All kinds of essence turned into liquid and evaporated in the damaged areas. In the end, the essence was absorbed by the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. At this rate, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda could almost recover to the 9th level. Below the magma world, in the space isolated by the 100-legged fire monster, the spirit treasures released a fiery luster. The 13 fire crystal golems had already turned into liquid humanoids. However, they were still absorbing a large amount of origin energy and energy. The flaming god mammoth was also on the verge of melting into liquid. Fortunately, it had a consciousness and could cultivate and control itself. It was similar to the flaming cloud spirit gourd. Su Fang had not moved at all. He was releasing a faint blood aura and fusing with the stone flower. He was also slowly absorbing the origin energy. Buzz, who would have thought that he would suddenly open his eyes? The undying 10th level. I still have to break through to the undying 10th level first. Right now, with my 9th level physical body, I can't fuse any more spiritual energy with it. Although breaking through will take some time, my physical body is even more profound, and I can fuse even more spiritual energy with it. Furthermore, I can cleanse the marrow of the undying 10th level in this world of lava. He wanted to break through to the undying 10th layer. Su Fong temporarily withdrew from the battle and executed the 100 acupoints finger art, continuously tapping on the acupoints on his body. After a long time, Su Fong's body was like a volcano on the verge of erupting, filled with astonishing might. Boom! When the seal was undone, all the energy in his body rushed out from his meridians and flesh. At this moment, his skin was torn into strips by the aura and completely turned into powder. The energy was like a tide, turning into 10 layers. It seemed that Su Fong was in layers of energy, accompanied by tribulation energy. At this time, Su Fong broke through to the undying 10th layer. Undying 10th layer only at this moment did Su Fong become excited and impudent. A few years ago, when he broke through from the longevity realm to the undying realm, he still felt weak and oppressed. He still couldn't feel happy about breaking through to the undying realm. Undying realm Prince Shui was in the catastrophe realm. Not only was there a gap between the young infant realm and the catastrophe realm, but there were also many steps. How to challenge Prince Shui with the undying realm? Su Fong fell into the abyss of confusion and powerlessness more than once. Only he could understand this feeling. If he didn't have the capital when the 10 years came, he would still be trampled on by Prince Shui and suffer great humiliation again. Later, he entered the Xinjia Gate and met the Lord of Five Poisons. He obtained a Rakshasa Jade Vase and the heaven-worshipping palm technique. He also obtained the Black Lotus True Body and absorbed a lot of energy on Seven Stars Island. He also obtained countless treasures that belonged to the Seven Stars Child. At that moment, after obtaining the Black Lotus True Body and suppressing many junior commanders, Su Fong's heart gradually relaxed. He knew that after going through many life and death adventures, he finally had a chance to fight against Prince Shui. Stepping into the undying 10th layer undoubtedly pushed his overall strength to a new peak. This was the limit of the undying realm. It also meant that his physical body and supernatural powers had reached the peak. He also sensed that the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda had recovered to another level, which meant that its ability was even more amazing. Together with the junior commanders, the origin power of the Wutan realm and the Zhuotian realm, various abilities, and the amazing recovery ability of his physical body, Su Fong was confident that he could fight against Prince Shui. Of course, if he could break through to the young infant realm in the remaining time and become a young infant realm cultivator, then Su Fong was absolutely confident that he could challenge Prince Shui. My long sword. Unknowingly, the promotion disappeared. Su Fong saw the long sword in front of him first. Finally, most of it had turned black, and only a small part was still silver. Sensing his lifespan, he estimated that he now had a lifespan of nearly 1,000 years. Although it was still a long way from normal, the shackles that 1,000 years of lifespan brought to Su Fong weren't very shocking. The Black Lotus True Body hasn't completely fused, but after this breakthrough, impurities are everywhere in the placenta. Now my flesh is full of tendrils of blood. Releasing the young infant realm looking inside his body, Su Fong was stunned. Tendrils of blood. The tendrils of blood seeped from his skin to his heart, and then from his meridians to his bones. Especially his blood. It was completely tendrils of blood. I should have fused with the 8th level of the Black Lotus True Body. The remaining 2 levels will be used when I break through to the young infant realm. At that time, the heavenly tribulation will be very powerful. Once I break through, I will need the power of life. Now that I have the origin power and various resources, I don't lack power. The Black Lotus True Body was very magical and Su Fong was very comforted. In his divine aperture and origin golden core, there were many divine runes. The divine runes were in the shape of lotus flowers, and even the divine runes of lotus flowers were divine runes of divine abilities. This completely showed that the Black Lotus was extraordinary. This kind of divine item wasn't just formed from the origin, but also contained a terrifying life force. It was very similar to the dragon taming wood, but also had some differences. The dragon taming wood and the Black Lotus each had their own merits. Once Su Fong collected the stone flower, he would have 3 extraordinary spirit treasures in his body. After breaking through to the indestructible 10th level, his meridians were incomparably large, and the depth of his body had increased several times. The energy he could fuse with was also several times more than before. In addition to absorbing the aura of the origin and abundant spiritual energy, he also released the blood energy of the indestructible 10th level to wrap around the stone flower and continue to fuse with it. As for the young infant realm, he began to cultivate divine abilities. First was the 9 changes of the 9 suns. Although the various true qi in his body had automatically fused with the pure yang energy under the invisible power of the origin qi, the speed wasn't fast, and Su Fong still needed to push it forward himself. Soon, the pure yang energy began to surge and roar in his meridians and body. Any precipitated matter, such as devil qi, monster qi, stone essence qi, nirvana origin force, black lotus, purple qi dharma spirit, dragon taming wood, origin golden core, and other special forces, all obediently fused with the pure yang energy. The pure yang energy was the source of life. Only when it surpassed everything else could it perfectly fuse all kinds of energy. After reaching the fused state, Su Fong began to cultivate the 7 divine abilities. Except for the immortal sealing scripture, he had mastered all the other divine abilities. He was also cultivating the heavenly demon book, especially when he used the heavenly demon disintegration seal. His young nascent soul could peel off thousands of primordial spirits of different sizes. Not only could the heavenly demon disintegration seal peel off primordial spirits, but it could also let the primordial spirits have the ability to attack. For example, if there were a large number of primordial spirit-type magic treasures, Su Fong could use the heavenly demon disintegration seal to peel off countless primordial spirits and control countless primordial spirit magic treasures to launch an attack. Why did the demon race prosper and become humanity's greatest enemy? It was not without reason. The heavenly demon disintegration seal's peerless ability could prove this point. After activating the young nascent soul, Su Fong's young nascent soul originally used 7 Star Child's young nascent soul as its main body. However, after seizing the body and cultivating from scratch, the young nascent soul had already fused with Su Fong and began to peel off in an instant. A large number of primordial spirits cultivated with each other, absorbing the divine aperture's power and fusing with Su Fong's origin, forming a primordial spirit essence explosion that rampaged in the depths of his mind. After breaking through to the indestructible 10th layer, even using the heavenly demon disintegration seal is much easier. The young nascent soul is constantly peeling off and fusing. With such a terrifying cultivation, it has long surpassed the young nascent soul of most young nascent soul cultivators. Su Fong was incomparably happy. With such a young nascent soul's divine power, it was already comparable to a first-layer calamity stage powerhouse. He thought of the Xinjia Gate. With just a glance from Prince Shui, Su Fong was unable to move and shackled all of Su Fong's movements. That was the power of the young nascent soul. At that time, Su Fong did not have a young nascent soul at all, so naturally he could not resist. But now, not only did he have a young nascent soul, but he also had the terrifying young nascent soul of a powerhouse like 7 Star Child. He was no longer a weakling that Prince Shui could casually crush. He also paid attention to the spirit treasures at the side. The fire god elephant and the flaming cloud spirit gourd had completely changed in quality. Now, Their quality was close to that of a royal-grade magic tool, but the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd was especially different. It originally contained the Jua Tian realm's origin. Now that it had absorbed the origin's power, the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd was constantly transforming. Coupled with the high temperature, it was equivalent to transforming and forging its quality. A large amount of impurities turned into sparks and exploded, disappearing completely. Not only did the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd and the Fire God Elephant transform like this, but the 13 fire crystal golems also underwent fundamental changes. Now, their hardness had reached the peak of a high-grade magic tool. Chapter 4:31. Su Fong had been cultivating under the combination of his yang soul and physical body. The Fire Cloud Spiritual Gourd, Fire God Elephant, and 13 fire crystal golems had all undergone a tremendous transformation and had undergone a great leap forward, especially the two spiritual treasures. Their quality had probably surpassed superior-grade Dharma treasures and reached the level of royal-grade Dharma treasures. Although they couldn't compare to royal-grade Dharma treasures like the Edgeless Sword, they had the advantage of being spiritual treasures and weren't much weaker than other royal-grade Dharma treasures. The fire crystal golems had reached the peak of superior-grade Dharma treasures. Using the 8 origin spiritual elephant formation with such quality, even ordinary catastrophe realm cultivators would be killed. Unknowingly, 2 years have passed. His attention was divided between the Dharma treasures and the stone flower. He was also fully focused on cultivation. When he calculated the time, 2 years had passed. There's only a little more than a year left. I have to fuse with the stone flower within half a year. In the remaining year, I have to prepare other things. He no longer cultivated any magical powers and fused with his yang soul to fuse with the stone flower. After a while, Xianwang's 6 Paths Pagoda sent news that Dao Wuliang and Xu Shuai had finally obtained the origin embryo spiritual milk with difficulty. It wasn't easy. They were cutting a portion for Bai Ling to cultivate. They were very thoughtful. At this moment, a large amount of origin energy enveloped Su Fong and the natural spiritual treasures. Both humans and Dharma treasures seized the time to cultivate. About 3 months passed. A smile gradually appeared in Su Fong's eyes. He formed many seals and released his pure yang energy to completely surround the stone flower. After a certain extent, he grabbed it with force. Whoosh! The stone flower finally separated from the spirit stone and appeared in Su Fong's hands. Origin Energy Treasure. This was a part of the Zhuotian realm's origin energy. It could be said to be the essence of a small world. No matter what Dharma treasure or place it was, the origin energy was the most unfathomable. That was because the origin energy was a part of small world. A small world was a part of a large world, and a large world was a part of the myriad worlds. In the end, cultivators began to grasp the origin energy and step into the myriad worlds step by step. Buzz, buzz, buzz. He wanted to start fusing with the stone flower while the origin energy and spiritual chi were around. However, just as he wrapped his energy around the stone flower and enveloped it with his consciousness, the stone flower moved in another direction. Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd. Su Fong was surprised to see that Shihua was sensing the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd. He then summoned the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd. Who would have thought that during this process, the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd would also sense the stone flower? Both sides were buzzing. It's very strange. No, it's actually very easy to understand. The Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd is the Zhuotian realm's origin spirit object, a part of the heavenly gourd spirit tree, and the stone flower is the Zhuotian realm's origin spirit essence. Although the two have different forms, they both have the same origin spirit object, so they naturally have a connection. When the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd and the stone flower got closer, Su Fong's doubts disappeared. They are both the origin of the Zhuotian realm. I originally wanted to fuse the stone flower into my body and put it in my golden core or divine aperture to become the origin space, but it resonated with the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd. It was difficult. His heart was as calm as still water as he carefully analyzed the situation. Time seemed to no longer work. Several hours later, his eyes stared at the two treasures. They are both origin objects and need the origin energy. Why don't I let the flaming cloud spiritual gourd absorb the stone flower and fuse with it? Finally, the flaming cloud spiritual gourd will transform again and become an origin magic treasure with a strong origin energy. In this way, the flaming cloud spiritual gourd will also enter a higher quality. Soon, it will become one of the strongest magic treasures in my hands, especially in the Zhuotian realm. After analyzing, Su Fong came to a conclusion. If he fused with it himself, there would be more stone flower in his body. However, what he needed was not the stone flower, but the origin energy. Now that he had a large amount of origin energy in his body, if he fused the flaming cloud spiritual gourd with the stone flower, he would not lose the stone flower. Instead, he would fuse the two spiritual gourds and become a more perfect origin treasure. As long as Su Fong continued to cultivate with the flaming cloud spiritual gourd, he could still absorb the origin energy. In this way, not only would he help the flaming cloud spiritual gourd and the stone flower, he would also help Su Fong. The flaming cloud spiritual gourd would definitely be one of his important Dharma treasures in the future. That's fine. The flaming cloud spirit gourd and the stone flower fused. The flaming cloud spirit gourd will continue to transform. Once I control its core, my strength will increase once more. When I challenge Crown Prince Shui, I'll have another secret power. Finally, he made the decision to not shackle the two treasures. Whoosh! The stone flower flew into the flaming cloud spiritual gourd of its own accord. The flaming cloud spiritual gourd was also unusually excited. The young infant entered the flaming cloud spiritual gourd space and immediately saw the stone flower floating in the middle. The flaming cloud spiritual gourd's essence liquid was fusing with the stone flower. The flaming cloud spiritual gourd's consciousness turned in front of Su Fong and began to fuse with the stone flower. Unintentionally, a peerless origin energy treasure will appear in my hands. There should be quite a few people in the Zhuotian realm who have spiritual gourds. The flaming cloud spiritual gourd isn't the mother gourd, but it will gradually catch up to the heavenly gourd spirit tree. With such an origin energy treasure supporting my body, I'll be able to easily control the energy of all things in the Zhuotian realm and use divine abilities. He looked forward to the flaming cloud spiritual gourd becoming an origin energy treasure on the same level as the heavenly gourd spirit tree. At that time, Su Fong might even be able to break through to the World Lord realm. Crap, I don't have much time left. I still have to squeeze out 3 months to let the flaming cloud spirit gourd take advantage of this scorching temperature. With its core aura and spiritual energy, it can perfectly fuse with the stone flower and transform it to resist Crown Prince Shui. With the black-yellow Six Paths Pagoda supporting me as a junior commander, I already have some confidence. Now that I suddenly have the flaming cloud spirit gourd supporting me, I have at least 70% confidence. Calculating the time, Su Fong originally wanted to leave, but he decided against it. The space at the core of the earth was something that could only be chanced upon. This kind of environment was similar to a peerless expert refining the flaming cloud spiritual gourd. Dao Wuyong, I still need 3 months. You and Xian Huang should leave this space and wait for me in a cave without lava. He released his divine sense to communicate with Dao Wuyong. Boss, you can cultivate for as long as you want. I also want to properly fuse with the origin embryo spiritual elixir, replied Dao Wuyong. Su Fong continued, at most 3 months. There's still a year left. I have to prepare to return to the immortal sealing sect and challenge Prince Shui. In my opinion, with your current strength, you don't need to rely on the immortal sealing sect at all. As long as you think of other methods, you can still find the violet qi law spirit. Why do you need to go back and accept the immortal sealing sect's bird qi? Although I have some ability, I'm still not in the catastrophe realm. I'm just an undead realm weakling. Right now, I need to rely on the celestial sealing gate. If I offend a powerful enemy in the future, for example, a power like the Supreme God Sect, I can use the Celestial Sealing Gate to avoid disaster. Furthermore, the Violet Chi Law spirit is extremely important to me. All right, I'm planning to cultivate on White Sand Island for a while. Once I reach the Surpassing Yang Nascent realm and reach the Catastrophe realm, I'll travel around and return to Nanjiang. After Dao Wuliang finished speaking, he no longer disturbed Su Fang's cultivation. Su Fang sensed that the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda would soon leave the cave and go to outer space. As long as there was no lava, Dao Wuliang and Shu Shuai would be able to cultivate freely. 3 months. Qi Qi He condensed a true Qi knife and opened up a large number of wounds on his body. Su Fang didn't need to cultivate in hell with his origin energy and spiritual energy. But he didn't. He still opened up a large number of wounds on his body. He took out 2 immortal fruits and planted them in the wounds. Then he swallowed a large number of marrow-cleansing pills and other resources. Next, he used the 100 acupoints finger technique to heal his body. After the time it takes half an incense stick to burn, Su Fang's wounds were completely healed by the power of the Black Lotus True Body. The power of the Black Lotus True Body was now on full display. Cracking sounds could be heard as he used the 100 acupoints finger technique to heal his body, absorbing the origin energy and spiritual energy, especially his 4th Yang Meridian. With the first 3 Yang Meridians, Su Fang's body was at least 3 times as strong as an ordinary person's. Back when Su Fang was trapped in the mysterious dimension on Seven Stars Island, his 3 Yang Meridians had been incredibly powerful. They had allowed him to fight against the stone golems for a long time, and eventually, he had broken through. Normally, the power of his 3 Yang Meridians wouldn't be of much use, but in the face of a peerless opponent, they would be of paramount importance. Furthermore, the 3 Yang Meridians weren't just used to store energy, but also to cultivate the 9 Yang transformations. They were also the foundation of godly class divine abilities, such as the gigantified heavenly king body. The more Yang Meridians one had, the better one could use the 9 Yang transformations. Pop, pop. A few days later, he had absorbed the power of the immortal fruits and medicinal pills. Once again, he cut open a wound on his skin and implanted the immortal fruits into his fleshly body. As the cycle continued, his 4th Yang Meridian was being battered, and the Yang energy was shocking. If he could cultivate here for a long time, he would be able to complete his 4th Yang Meridian very quickly. Just as Su Fang had predicted, the Flame Cloud Spirit Gourd was absorbing the origin energy and spiritual power of Su Fang. It was almost as if all of the power in this dimension was being sucked into the gourd. The 100-legged flame behemoth was waiting outside, and when he saw what was happening, he said in shock, "If this spirit treasure of yours keeps absorbing energy like this, then the core of the planet will be destroyed." "I only need a few months," Yang Qi replied. "Not much. Besides, the energy will be regenerated." With that, Su Fang focused on his cultivation. 3 months. Too soon. Too soon. All of a sudden, Su Fang stopped cultivating. Opening his eyes, he said, 3 months will pass in the blink of an eye. I need to get back to the house of immortal sealing. Rising to his feet, he saw that the Flame Cloud Spirit Gourd was absorbing all of the origin energy and spiritual power, while the Flame Cloud God Mammoth and the Flame Cloud Golem were absorbing only a small amount. With a thought, the Flame Cloud Spirit Gourd, the Flame Cloud God Mammoth, and the Flame Cloud Golem all flew back into his palm. By the time Su Fang entered the 100-legged flame behemoth's mouth, the surrounding area was already filled with lava. Rumble. After a few breaths of time, he was out of the lava and in the middle of the cave. Rustle. 2 streams of demonic energy flew over, which were none other than Dao Wuliang and Rat Marshal. Eldest brother. When Dao Wuliang saw Su Fang emerging from the flame behemoth's mouth, he pulled out a foot-long chunk of Origin Embryo Spirit Elixir. "It's not easy to cut it," Rat Marshal said weakly. "We worked ourselves to death just to get this much." Su Fong took the origin embryo spirit elixir and immediately fused it with the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Yang Ying brought the treasure to the Xianhuang space and met Bai Ling directly. She took out countless spirit stones and created an altar. Su Fong said, "Sister Bai, this origin embryo spirit elixir is the most precious cultivation treasure of the demon race. You can fuse it with the origin embryo spirit elixir in the altar, and when you've mastered it, you can absorb the origin embryo spirit elixir into the spirit pearl. Then, you'll be able to cultivate with it." "Thank you, brother." Bai Ling was very happy. Su Fong returned to his original body and formed a Xianguang, the 100-legged flame behemoth. This is the cultivation method of the demon race. It's from the supreme Peng race. I'll give it to you. Cultivate well. With such a great amount of resources, you might really be able to ascend to the great world in the future. This is something that even humans can't do. After entering the 100-legged flame behemoth's body, the three of them immediately left the cave. The remaining flame behemoth couldn't believe that Su Fong had just let it go. Author's words, "Let me tell you a secret. I've already started writing the second chapter of Miracle, which is the next chapter. It will be published soon, but I'm just interested in it. The main point is still the 9 truths and 9 suns. I also want to know what kind of cultivation world lies beyond the great heavenly cycle." Chapter 432. After flying out of the cave, the high temperature gradually dissipated. When they arrived at the bottom of the cave, Shu Shuai smashed open a rock and water poured in. Fortunately, Leech King was summoned in time and swallowed the 3 of them. Shu Shuai then used his magic power to seal the cave with huge rocks. If the water poured into the underground lava world, it would eventually change the balance and make it impossible for the 100-legged fire monsters to survive. In a few breaths, Leech King saw the exit. Chi just, as it came out of the cave, layers of snake fungus floated around it. It was like a huge net that had already covered the water around the exit. Haha, so it's a leech. I don't remember there being such a powerful leech in our waters. Who cares? Our king sensed something strange below the demon pool, and let's take a look. Maybe it has something to do with this leech. Let's capture it first. Leech King broke through a few layers of snake fungus, but there were many aquatic demons floating above it. They were either covered in scales or tens of feet long. They stared at Leech King and immediately controlled the snake fungus layer to spit out waves of demonic aura. Combined with water, they turned into pillars of demonic aura and attacked Leech King. Leech King immediately informed Su Fong, "Master, we've been ambushed." Su Fong, Dao Wuyang, and Shu Shuai had already noticed that something was wrong. They immediately replied, "I've heard the conversation between the aquatic demons. Luckily, King Long Chun isn't here. Use your speed and spray poison. As long as we leave the deep water world and reach the surface, we won't have to fear King Long Chun. I've lived for tens of thousands of years. These aquatic demons can't stop me." Leech King was full of confidence. He opened his mouth and spat out countless black poisonous gas. The black poisonous gas was indeed shocking. It corroded the snake fungus layer upon contact. Moreover, it kept rising like a mushroom cloud. Under the cover of the poisonous snake fungus layer, Leech King took the opportunity to swim to the side of the water like a black lightning bolt. "Master has ordered that anyone who enters the water will be killed without mercy." Dozens of aquatic demons were caught off guard by Leech King's attack. They reacted and chased after him. A group of aquatic demons left behind a large number of bubbles in the deep water world. It was a spectacular sight. Leech King's speed was indeed shocking. He was getting faster and faster. Previously, he was a few hundred feet away, but now he was about 100 feet away. Moreover, he was getting closer to the surface. The surface was like a hazy mirror. An underwater island could be seen not far away. Hua 10 breaths later, the Leech King jumped up and finally rushed out of the water. Su Fong, Shu Shuai, and Dao Wuyang appeared. The bubble that Leech King turned into disappeared into Su Fong's palm. The fruit is a fragment of a great continent. It is much more astonishing than an ordinary great continent. Su Fang looked ahead. There were many islands of various sizes, and there was a dead island in the depths. It would be more appropriate to describe it as a continent. It was a fragment of a shattered continent. A long time ago, due to some natural forces or other factors, some great continents were shattered into countless pieces. This was one of them. This was also the territory of the two peerless Big Goblin. The Rat Commander's demonic aura surged as he looked at the two of them. The water demons are here. Good. I'll suppress as many as you come. Su Fang smiled coldly. Then, with a wave of his hand, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda turned invisible and floated directly on the water's surface. Then, he opened the pagoda door. His original spirit and Su Fang cooperated and released a powerful divine might. Kill. Whoosh. Whoosh. Suppress. The invisible Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda suddenly appeared. It was 1,000 feet tall, and the pagoda door released a boundless divine might. It was a majestic king gray Dharma treasure that was close to a Tao artifact. Its divine might enveloped the water demons and easily sucked them into the pagoda door. When the water demons behind saw this, they were so frightened that they did not dare to fly out of the water. After suppressing the last water demon, Su Fang sucked the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda into his hand. Another 10 water demons whose strength has reached the Yang Soul Realm. Now, there are a total of 77 junior commanders. We have an additional force to deal with Prince Shui. A few water demons suddenly shouted from below, "You dare to offend us? What's there to be afraid of?" Dao Wuliang also showed his might. "The water is your world, and the water is yours." Hee. The Rat Commander could not be arrogant. "We have to leave. I'm afraid that the two demon kings on the continent will notice us soon. Once they do, they will use their mystical abilities to suppress us in an instant." Whoosh. Whoosh. In just a short while, a large amount of water splashed up from the surface of the water in front of them. Then, a black bubble that was 10,000 feet long swam across the water like a giant bubble demon, heading towards Su Fang and the other two. Su Fang had never seen such a big goblin before. The Rat Commander shouted, "Oh no, it's King Long, Chun himself. Teleportation talisman." Su Fang immediately grabbed a 1,000-mile teleportation talisman. The power of destruction enveloped the three of them. The space where the three of them were in immediately distorted, and they escaped into the deep space. Fox and Mouse. When the distorting power escaped into the deep space, it was as if a pair of demon eyes had followed them. It laughed eerily. There are two big goblins in the Zhuotian domain. One is the Heavenly Drill Rat Emperor, and the other is the Daozhun Fox Mother. It seems like they're the descendants of the Heavenly Drill Rat Emperor. He did not dare to come here, so he sent his descendants here. This king will send you on your way. Damn it! Standing in the power of the teleportation talisman, the three of them trembled. Almost at the same time, they saw a pair of terrifying demon eyes. They felt that at this moment, the only thing that occupied the deep space behind them was the demon eyes. What a terrifying power! What a terrifying will! This was the true power of a peerless giant. The appearance of the demon eyes made the three of them know that the matter of destruction was about to fall on them. Boom! At this moment, the demon eyes suddenly turned hazy. The hazy light covered the teleportation talisman, and after a collision, a ferocious explosion occurred. Rustle! The explosion suddenly appeared in the natural sky, coming from the deep space. Sparks flew everywhere, and the three of them were thrown out miserably. Their robes were torn apart, emitting sparks. Their faces were pale, and there were even blood spots and lacerations on their skin. Dao Wuyang was fuming with rage. He trembled as he stared at the deep space. "Grandpa, damn you, King Longchun, you big snake. Once I have the strength, I will definitely kill my way back to the nameless water domain and suppress you into an earthworm. Haha, if you want revenge, let the Daozhun Fox Mother come. You little fox, you can talk big. I'll give you 10,000 years, and you'll still be a little fox. Scram! This time, this king will spare your lives." Who would have thought that the King Long Chen's voice would come from the deep space? Shu Shuai said, the King Long Chen can only be a tyrant underwater. This is an island, and it's far away from the nameless water domain. His true body won't dare to come here. Dao Wuliang said powerlessly, "Oomph, you almost broke my bones." "I'm fine." Shu Shuai looked at Su Fong. Su Fong's skin was torn, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He calmly shook his head. "I'm fine as well. I just need to cultivate for a while. I have to rush back to the Crimson Firmament continent. It's time to say goodbye. When I have time, I will come back to White Sand Island." "Boss, take care." Dao Wuliang was very reluctant to part. He and Shu Shuai had just stood up when Su Fong used a teleportation talisman to escape into the deep space. Crimson Firmament Continent. After crushing dozens of teleportation talismans, Su Fong directly returned to the continent from the nameless water domain. A few breaths later, he arrived at the depths of the mountain between the Yuan City and the Immortal Sealing Sect. Buzz. Taking out a rune talisman, Su Fong poured some magic power into it. "I didn't expect to be heavily injured again. I'm not in a hurry to recover, but it's also good. I got injured at the right time." He smiled strangely and continued to wait. However, he wasn't in a hurry to recover. It was unknown what he was planning. About half a day later, Su Fong had already changed into a set of Taoist robes and was sitting cross-legged. Suddenly, a gust of yang qi blew over. Rustle. A gust of wind blew over, and a blue-robed woman flew over. Lan Haicheng, although her face was covered, Su Fong could tell at a glance. Moreover, her aura wouldn't change. With his 10th Undying Stage ability, he could determine any cultivator's aura within a short distance. "I thought you had already returned to the Immortal Sealing Sect. But a few years ago, when I went back and asked Senior Apprentice Sister, you didn't come back at all. How did you get injured?" Lan Haicheng arrived in front of Su Fong, extremely concerned. Seeing that Su Fong's breathing was uneven, she could tell something was wrong. "I'm fine. I just went to a dangerous place to look for treasures and got injured. You should know that my recovery speed is very shocking." Su Fong nodded and solemnly said, "I could have directly transmitted my voice to Senior Apprentice Sister, but I was afraid the Immortal Sealing Sect's experts would notice. I need Senior Apprentice Sister Huang's help." "What is it?" "I want to kill a disciple of the Stone Saint Society. He's a disciple of the Myriad Tao Paradise, Zhao Wuji. He should have broken through to the immortal realm and become an undying disciple." Zhao Wuji. Lan Haicheng had no impression of him. "This person has a personal grudge with me, so he must be eliminated. I hope the Fragrant Jade Society can use the power behind them to make Zhao Wuji go out on a mission within a month. I'll kill him on the way. An undying disciple. If he dies, then he dies. That's not a problem. Getting an undying disciple to go on a mission isn't difficult. Getting rid of an undying disciple isn't a problem either. It's that simple. To Senior Apprentice Sister and the Fragrant Jade Society, it's a trivial matter. But to me, it's very important. I must kill this person with my own hands, and within a month. Seeing that you're so resolute, I'll personally supervise this matter. Once there's a result, I'll send it to you through a rune talisman. Take care of yourself. Also, you must prepare to fight with Prince Shui. This person's transformation in the past 10 years is also shocking." Sensing Su Fong's seriousness and urgency, Lan Haicheng immediately disappeared after replying. "Immortal Sealing Sect, deep within the Supreme Training Grounds. Senior Apprentice Sister, this is Su Fong's request." Lan Haicheng faced Huang Lingyao alone. Huang Lingyao's face was covered as she sat on the throne. As expected of a peerless, desolate body, it was hard to see much of her aura. After hearing this, Huang Lingyao was somewhat puzzled. "You want my Fragrant Jade Society to help you get rid of an undying disciple of the Myriad Tao Paradise?" The leader was even more shocked. She immediately formed a seal. Seeing the seal, Lan Haicheng began to silently wait. After about an incense stick's worth of time, Huang Lingyao was surprised. "I've investigated this disciple named Zhao Wuji. This person has only been in the sect for 100 years, more than 10 years before Su Fong. He has made great contributions to the sect, contributions that even I can't find. Then, he directly became a sect disciple without going through any tests. Not simple. This undying disciple is not simple. This, Lan Haicheng was startled. A secret that even I can't find out is directly related to the Grand Elder. Furthermore, Zhao Wuji seems to have some relationship with Yuan Tianzong. In short, this person publicly joined the Stone Saint Society not long ago, with Sheng Changsheng as their leader. Overall, he's an enemy of my Fragrant Jade Society. I've already informed the elders of this matter and told them to immediately find a suitable mission for Zhao Wuji and have him do it within a month. Elder Yuan Tianzong's strength is shocking. Among the elders, he's one of the strongest. An elder actually has a relationship with an undying disciple. Author's words. I want to correct the mistakes in my words. I've been spending my energy every day to correct the mistakes. Although looking at the screen makes my eyes blurry and tears a little, I still have to ensure the quality. Chapter 433. Lan Haicheng found it hard to understand why an undying disciple would be related to an elder. Furthermore, he was the strongest elder in the Celestial Sealing sect. No matter what relationship Zhao Wuji has with Yuan Tianzong, if he is an elder's subordinate, I will let him live. But since he has joined the Stone Saint Party, he is my enemy. Huang Lingyao's body was like an ice sculpture. Her cold aura seemed to have completely controlled this space. There is news from the insiders that Yuan Tianzong brought many experts from the sect and left the Red Firmament continent for the Dark Forest to capture the peerless demonic rock that escaped from our sect. When he returned, he brought Zhao Wuji along. Perhaps he made a great contribution in capturing the demonic rock. With senior sister controlling the situation, junior sister will arrange things well. You're still recovering. This time, you were heavily injured and almost destroyed your cultivation path. Don't worry too much about this matter. I don't want to lose a good sister like you because of Su Fang. Last time, because your injuries were too heavy, I didn't say anything about you. However, I still have to remind you to think more about yourself in the future. Yes, junior sister will take her leave. Lan Haicheng responded emotionally. When she left the space, her eyes were filled with guilt. I am sorry, senior sister. Everything you know is a lie. Su Fang has saved me from danger time and time again. I cannot betray him. Until she left, Lan Haicheng still couldn't let go. Myriad Dao Paradise. A few extraordinary disciples came to the high immortal heaven through the mystical door. Soon, they arrived above a lone mountain. In the palace below the lone mountain, many figures rushed over to welcome them. Before the figures arrived, a middle-aged man's voice could be heard. Disciple Zhao Wuji and the Zhao clan's disciples greet senior brother Jian. At the front of the extraordinary disciples was the Sword Saint. He was a Calamity Realm core disciple of the Celestial Sealing sect. Back when he was training in Xinjia sect, he was one of the leaders of the Stone Saint Party. His strength and authority were far beyond ordinary Calamity Realm disciples. As the clouds parted, Zhao Wuji led 8th Prince Zhao, Qingjing, Lu Lan, and the rest of the Zhao clan's disciples to bow to the Sword Saint. They welcomed the Sword Saint into the palace below. There were many servants waiting at the entrance of the palace. They were also prepared with various elixirs and spiritual items. When they saw the Sword Sage and the others, they all knelt down. Zhao Wuji, you've been in the Immortal Sealing School for less than 100 years, but you've been doing pretty well. Raising slaves? I heard that you used to be the emperor of an empire. If you really want to become an emperor, you have to work hard on your cultivation. Sword Sage came to the highest point of the main hall and sat down. The several experts that came with him were also catastrophe realm powerhouses. They were awe-inspiring without being angry, causing Zhao Wuji and the Zhao family to treat them as honored guests. May I ask why senior apprentice brother has suddenly come? Do you have a mission? Zhao Wuji led the Zhao family members respectfully to the center of the hall. None of them dared to sit down. There is a mission, but it's not from senior apprentice brother Sheng. It's from a sect. You will soon receive a mission. It should be to go to the spirit sect's ruins. After Sword Sage finished speaking, A trace of pressure condensed between his brows. Missions within the sect are very normal. Everyone has to carry them out. This time, I've come mainly for another reason. Now that you have joined the Stone Saint Association and followed Senior Apprentice Brother Sheng, Senior Apprentice Brother Sheng thinks highly of you. So Senior Apprentice Brother Sheng hopes that you will work hard on your cultivation and reach the catastrophe realm as soon as possible. At that time, you will be nurtured into a disciple like a master or a master. This disciple will definitely work hard on his cultivation. Zhao Wuji quickly knelt down. These are the resources that Senior Apprentice Brother asked me to bring you. It's quite a lot. There are quite a few high-grade elixirs that can help you reach the undead realm as soon as possible. Once you reach the undead realm, Senior Apprentice Brother will give you endless resources. A Xianguang shot out from the Sword Sage's hand. Within the Xianguang floated an empty bag. Everyone in the Zhao family was impatient when they saw the empty bag. Inside the bag were resources that could help one become an undead realm expert. Zhao Wuji caught the empty bag with both hands, but took out quite a few elixirs. Instead, he went forward and gave them to the experts sitting on both sides. After chatting for a while, Sword Sage and the others left the palace. The Zhao family bowed and sent them off until they flew high into the sky. Senior Apprentice Brother, with your current status, why do you have to personally come to see Zhao Wuji? Isn't he just an undead disciple who just joined our Stone Saint Association? There are a lot of people like him. After entering the door, an expert doubtfully asked Sword Sage for advice. The other experts also did not understand. Sword Sage said, "You don't understand. Senior Apprentice Brother thinks highly of Zhao Wuji. Although this person is an undead disciple and his strength is like an ant, he seems to have made great contributions to the sect. Some time ago, in the Elder Hall, I accidentally saw Elder Yuan Tianzong summon Zhao Wuji. Not long after, he joined our Stone Saint Association. This person has some ability. Seems like it's related to Elder Yuan Tianzong. He really has some skills. Elder Yuan Tianzong doesn't even look at us catastrophe realm disciples. Elder Yuan's strength is unfathomable. Naturally, he is extraordinary. When they heard the inside story, who wouldn't be surprised? The passage of the door instantly disappeared, and a few of them entered the world filled with spiritual energy. Myriad Dao Paradise. I'm going to carry out a mission. I'm going to the ruins of the Spirit Sect to assist the Merchant Association there and find a spiritual treasure. While I'm not here, make good use of the resources to cultivate. I hope you all can step into the immortality realm soon. Zhao Wuji's training ground. Inside the palace, dozens of Zhao family members were gathered. Zhao Wuji paced back and forth in front of the crowd, while the others listened quietly. A man in brocade clothes who didn't look like a cultivator said, "Old ancestor, we have never been to the ruins of the Spirit Sect. Why don't you bring us there to take a look? You all think the mission is to watch the fun? I've carried out many missions, and each one was extremely dangerous. If I bring you all there, it's the same as bringing you all to your deaths. What kind of place is the ruins of the Spirit Sect? The Supreme God Sect covers the sky with one hand. This is a power that is both good and evil. They have the guts to kill righteous cultivators. Doesn't our sect have a merchant association in the ruins of the Spirit Sect? Why would we be afraid of the Supreme God Sect? You all have left Zhao for many years. Don't tell me you still don't know the immensity of heaven and earth in this immortal sealing sect? Do you all think you are the ruler of a small territory?" Zhao Wuji suddenly shouted. He couldn't wait to teach the person who spoke a lesson in front of him. No one dared to make a sound. Most of them left, leaving only 8th Prince Zhao Chengjing. After Zhao Wuji sat down, he went to the side and said, "Skygate's Sage Emperor is obedient. However, this person's cultivation speed is extremely shocking. He has condensed a golden core. In just a few years, he has reached the peak of the heavenly fusion realm. He can rely on himself to come to the Crimson Firmament Continent. That is his ability. Moreover, I have heard many people mention Skygate Sage Emperor. He sits on a piece of territory and works for my Zhao clan. He does not have any disloyalty and is worth nurturing. Do you feel uncomfortable when you see others become stronger step by step? Suddenly, Zhao Wuji's divine pressure caused Zhao Qingjing to take a step back. Your mentality will affect your state of mind. Four Sky Gate Sage Emperor to have such progress. Do you think it was luck that fell from the sky? He must have relied on his own hard work to cultivate. You disciples live a life of luxury. Every day, you live a carefree life. How would you know how to improve? Yes, yes. Zhao Qingjing's heart was trembling with fear. If I'm not here, who will take care of you? And one day, I will also leave. At that time, Zhao Wuji suddenly shook his head and erased his worries. He turned around and disappeared from the palace, outside the immortal Sealing Sex dojo in the vast territory. Buzz. Su Fong was in the middle of cultivation. His injuries did not seem to have changed much. His face was pale and his aura was weak. Especially on his skin, there were many clear traces of blood. The rune talisman suddenly rang. He took it out and activated the seal. He immediately stopped his cultivation. The fragrant Jade Gang is indeed powerful in the immortal Sealing Sect. Zhao Wuji has come out. He just left the immortal Sealing Sect. He even knows the general direction. Su. A storm arose in the forest. Su Fong had already disappeared. Wah! Wah! The clouds in the sky. A yellow-robed man was standing on a mid-grade flying sword. He was leaving the immortal Sealing Sex territory. It was Zhao Wuji. His speed was already very shocking in the Undying Realm. It was comparable to an ordinary Undying Realm cultivator. About 2 hours later, Zhao Wuji completely flew out of the immortal Sealing Sex dojo and rushed towards the Yuan city. Su, above the clouds, there was a floating figure. There was some silver in the black. Su Fong was using his perfect circle ability to control the movements within a few kilometers. Suddenly, he heard movement on his left and immediately disappeared. In a breath's time, with Su Fong's current cultivation, a few kilometers was just a blink of an eye. His eyebrows were raised as he stared at a yellow-robed man flying over from the immortal Sealing Sect. Zhao Wuji. Su Fong's killing intent exploded from his body like never before. It was as if he was in a world of lava. In less than 100 years, I have been searching for you from Zhao country to Crimson Firmament continent. Now, I finally have the strength to stand in front of you. 2,000 years ago, you killed my ancestor and exterminated my family Su. Such a blood feud must be avenged. Buzz. After saying that, Su Fong disappeared into thin air. Su Fong could see Zhao Wuji because of his perfect circle ability. As for Zhao Wuji, his Undying Realm cultivation was not perfect circle ability. How could he see Su Fong? He was still standing on his flying sword. This was the immortal Sealing Sex territory. He did not feel any sense of danger. Moreover, he was a member of the Stone Saint Party. Who would dare to offend him? In a short while, he flew past the space where Su Fong disappeared. Wah! Wah! A sword net made of Daluo, sword chi, suddenly formed in the air and grabbed at Zhao Wuji. Who? Zhao Wuji was shocked. Something he did not expect actually happened. First, he roared. Then, with shock and fear, he released his flying sword. Bang! Bang! It was just a mid-grade flying sword. When it hit the sword net, it did not even affect the luster of the sword net. Kill me. Zhao Wuji revealed a cold gaze. He suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a black flying sword. Its aura was actually high-grade, and it had reached the peak of high-grade. Oh, Su Fong, who was hiding in the air, did not expect Zhao Wuji to have such a perfect high-grade flying sword. Zhao Wuji was able to live for 2,000 years, kill my ancestor, and establish the state of Zhao. He really has some methods. Seeing that his flying sword's aura has merged perfectly with his aura, he must have been cultivating this magic treasure for a long time. It is impossible that he obtained it after coming to the immortal Sealing Sect. He understood now. Boom! The sword fell and shattered the sword net. A big hole appeared above Zhao Wuji's head. He grabbed the flying sword fiercely. Wah! Wah! After all, it was a high-grade flying sword. It was a magic treasure that only young, nascent realm experts were qualified to cultivate. It was also a supreme treasure that only catastrophe realm experts could use. The sword Qi shook Su Fong out of the space. Zhao Wuji looked at Su Fong. He was puzzled. Who are you? The Grand Firmament Sword Qi is from the Immortal Sealing Sect. Why do you want to kill me? This is the first time we've met, Zhao Wuji. Su Fong calmly floated in the air. No, this is not the first time we've met. We've met several times. I won't waste words with you. The reason I've been waiting for you here today is to suppress you. I have enmity with you. Of course, once I suppress you, you'll understand. You want to kill me? You're an imperishable realm expert. Your cultivation base is higher than mine. But this flying sword in my hand has been fused with me for thousands of years. You're dreaming if you want to kill me. Furthermore, I've already asked for help from the Immortal Sealing Sect. Author's words, today's 3 chapters. Did you see the wrong word? Chapter 434. You won't give up until you're dead. Su Fong's aura suddenly erupted. Ordinary people will definitely run when they encounter a cultivator with a higher realm than them. But I, Zhao Wuji, won't. Although I can't kill you, reinforcements will arrive soon. Even if you have 9 lives, you'll still have to stay here and be killed. Zhao Wuji attacked. He was very decisive and didn't hesitate at all. Moreover, he was facing an expert with a higher cultivation base than him. The black flying sword merged with the Grand Firmament Sword Qi. Suddenly, Zhao Wuji seemed to have turned into Sword Qi. The sword and Zhao Wuji fused into a single sword. This sword had the power to split a mountain. The power it released had already surpassed the Undying Realm. It turned out that Zhao Wuji was also someone who could jump realms. Of course, if he wasn't, how could he survive in the Celestial Sealing Sect? Su Fong didn't dodge the sword. You're ignoring me. Zhao Wuji was furious. He was using his full strength. He just stood there calmly, waiting for the sword to kill him. He couldn't understand, so he didn't think about it anymore. The sword had already arrived above Su Fong. However, the phantom of the pagoda door suddenly opened above Su Fong's head. The sword trembled as it was sucked into the pagoda door. No! Zhao Wuji controlled the sword and personally watched as the sword was taken away. How painful! How unwilling! This was tantamount to stripping away a magic treasure. However, he reacted in time and flew back to the Celestial Sealing Sect. What ability do you have without a magic treasure? Su Fong's right hand shook and a heavenly dragon divine claw instantly slapped behind Zhao Wuji. The pitiful Zhao Wuji wanted to escape, but it was already too late. He had overestimated himself and ignored the enemy. If he had used a magic treasure to escape, he might have had a chance. Boom! The heavenly dragon divine claw was fast, accurate, and ruthless. It grabbed Zhao Wuji and pulled him into the phantom of the pagoda door. A living person disappeared. The phantom of the pagoda door floated in Su Fong's palm again. He had a relieved expression. The grudges of several generations have finally been settled in my hands. Old ancestor, if you're in heaven, please rest in peace. I'll also find the purple Qi magic spirit. You came so quickly. Looking in the direction of a celestial sealing sect, the Su Fong disappeared. After about 3 breaths, a few yellow-robed figures flew over. They were Sword Saint. He held the rune talisman in his hand and came to the space, but he couldn't see anything. The aura of the great heavenly sword Qi and the heavenly dragon divine claw. After sensing for a while, Sword Saint activated the rune talisman again, but the rune talisman didn't move at all. What a powerful character. I don't know if Zhao Wuji is dead or alive. That person left behind the Daluo heavenly sword Qi and the heavenly dragon divine claw. How am I supposed to find out how many disciples there are in the sect? Do I have to ask every single one of them? The Sword Saint felt helpless. The people around him immediately spread out in all directions and began to search. Sword Sage took out a rune talisman and activated it. A divine aura appeared from the rune talisman, and a majestic voice was released. Since this has happened to Zhao Wuji, there's nothing I can do. The heavenly Tao is hard to find. Everyone has their own path. This tribulation has come for Zhao Wuji. After that, the voice disappeared into the talisman again. Since even Senior Brother Saint has such intentions, then forget it. Zhao Wuji, you can only eat as much as you want. Your appetite is too big. Sword Saint waited for a while. The experts returned, but none of them had found anything. Let's go. The few of them immediately flew away on their swords. After a while, Su Fong flew out from the Xinhuang Six Paths Pagoda and returned to the sky. His eyebrows were filled with surprise. Sword Saint is actually Sword Saint. This person has some purple Chi Dharma spirit aura. How could I forget this person? Nearly 10 years ago, Su Fong met Sword Saint several times on the flying Immortal Island. Especially after the first time he felt this person because of the purple Chi Dharma spirit. Su Fong had always remembered Sword Saint deeply. Zhao Wuji can actually get Sword Sage to come and save him. That Sword Sage is even stronger than Senior Sister Lawn. He also has the Stone Saint Society. Could it be that he is protecting an undying disciple? Or is it that in the vicinity of the Tao field, the sect has to pay attention to all disciples? After analyzing for a while, he immediately used the teleportation talisman to head to the flying Immortal Island. During the teleportation, Su Fong separated his young infant and entered the Xinhuang space. Inside the layers of Xinguang, the gold and silver light sealed Zhao Wuji tightly. How could an undying cultivator resist the power of a peerless artifact? He didn't even have the strength to struggle. Where's this? Where's this? Zhao Wuji looked around crazily. He did not believe or admit that a genius like him would fall into the hands of others. Zhao Wuji, the young infant, appeared. Su Fong stared at Zhao Wuji and suddenly sighed at the cruelty of time. To him, Zhao Wuji was an overlord in the past, but in the end, he was a peerless emperor who had lived for thousands of years. And now, he had fallen into the hands of others. Zhao Wuji suppressed his voice and hid his anger in his heart. You? Who are you? I have no enmity with you. You'll know who I am soon. The young infant immediately transformed into Fong Yu's appearance. Fong Yu, how can it be you? You're still alive? Zhao Wuji trembled as if he was struck by lightning. He could not believe it. Weren't you forced into the Xinjia gate by Prince Shui? You came out alive? Did you see a ghost? Su Fong also regained his usual aura. Can I come out after entering the Xinjia gate? No, that's not what I meant. Brother Fong, our relationship is not bad. Why did you attack me? I've never treated you as an enemy and have never harmed you. This is a misunderstanding, right? You don't treat me as an enemy, but you also don't treat me as a friend. But I don't care about that. Misunderstanding? Where did this misunderstanding come from? I'm not a member of the Crown Prince Society. I've already joined the Stone Saint Society. I'm not with Prince Shui. This is obviously a misunderstanding. You must have treated me as a member of the Crown Prince Society. Then you're wrong again. I know you're a member of the Stone Saint Society. You joined the Stone Saint Society not long ago and followed the Sword Saint Lord. Brother Fong, Zhao Wuji was terrified. Only now did he calmly ask, then I have no enmity with Brother Fong. I really don't understand. Actually, I'm not Fong Yu. Zhao Wuji, listen carefully. I come from the same territory as you, and my surname isn't Fong. My surname is Su Fong. I'm a descendant of the family Su Yu personally exterminated 2,000 years ago. A descendant of the family Su. Su Fong nodded. Yes, a descendant of the family Su's ancestor you killed. Zhao Wuji slowly recovered. Other than shock, he was also surprised. Su Fong, you're so familiar. I remember. It's you. You're the one who killed your way into my country of Zhao and destroyed the empire I painstakingly built. Did that useless descendant of yours, Zhao Changjing, tell you? I didn't expect you to have the ability to step into the Crimson Firmament continent and become a disciple of the Immortal Sealing Gate. You even hid your identity and pretended to be obedient in front of me. I really was blind. It's not that you were blind, but that you did something you shouldn't have done. If you hadn't gone so far back then, you wouldn't be here today. You killed my ancestor, exterminated my family, Su's imperial clan. Blood flowed like rivers, corpses piled up like mountains. Do you think that's history? That's not true. My family, Su, has always remembered this blood feud. Su Fang, I understand. I understand now. At this moment, Zhao Wuji's trembling expression had completely disappeared, as expected of someone who had lived for several thousand years. Even in such a dangerous situation, he was still able to think clearly. Su Fang nodded. To me, that's all in the past. As the leader of my family, I had to establish the Zhao dynasty. I had no choice but to act against my family, Su. In truth, we can discuss this properly. Right now, we're not in that minor world, but the Crimson Firmament continent. It's a vast cultivation world. Now that you have such strength and great abilities, you far surpass me. Why chase after you and not let you go? I can completely resolve this grudge. Su Fang poured a bucket of cold water on him. To me, you must die. You don't need to go through so much trouble. Even if you speak until your tongue spouts out golden lotuses, you won't be able to change my mind. Since you and I come from the same world, we can temporarily put aside our past grudges. If we join hands, not only can we establish ourselves in the immortal sealing gate, we can also become a peerless disciple in the future. This is the Crimson Firmament continent. Here, having authority is the ultimate goal. You're still trying to deal with me? Don't you know why I painstakingly passed through the dark forest and chased you all the way here? Su Fang's divine aura suddenly exploded, causing Zhao Wuji's body to creak. Still not telling the truth about the whereabouts of the Violet Chi Dharma spirit? What Violet Chi Dharma spirit? Zhao Wuji acted as if he didn't know anything. You really won't be honest until you're in hell. When my father and I killed our way into Zhao, we just so happened to run into the immortal sealing gate's elder, Yuan Tianzong. He brought a large number of experts to kill us. You joined Yuan Tianzong and led them to find the Peng King's whereabouts. Later, in order to enter the immortal sealing gate, you offered up the Violet Chi Dharma spirit you stole from my family Su's ancestor. Only then were you able to bring your descendants to the immortal sealing gate under Yuan Tianzong's protection. Isn't that right? That's not true. Green Fiend True Flame. Who would have thought that Zhao Wuji would still be so cunning even at death's door? His killing intent surged, and a green true flame instantly engulfed Zhao Wuji. Crackling sounds came from him. I'll talk. In less than 3 breaths' time, Zhao Wuji's hair was burnt to a crisp. With his cultivation base, how could he resist such a terrifying true flame? I really did give the Violet Chi Dharma spirit to Yuan Tianzong, muttered Zhao Wuji. When Yuan Tianzong suddenly came to the imperial palace, I sensed how terrifying they were. I couldn't tell if they were friend or foe, so I hid it in the depths of the underground palace. But Yuan Tianzong still managed to find it. After learning that they came from the Crimson Firmament continent, I offered a treasure to Yuan Tianzong and gave him the Violet Chi Dharma spirit. Yuan Tianzong was an experienced and knowledgeable person, and he knew that the Violet Chi Dharma spirit was extraordinary. He immediately promised to bring me to the immortal sealing gate. Later, I spent some time looking for the Peng King. After that, Yuan Tianzong fulfilled his promise and brought dozens of my Zhao family's people to the immortal sealing gate. Then do you know who has the Violet Chi Dharma spirit? Is it still Yuan Tianzong? It really wasn't too different from what he had expected. Back then, Yuan Tianzong and the other experts of the immortal sealing gate had come to Zhao. It was because of Zhao Wuji's treasure that his imperial family had come to the immortal sealing gate. Su Fang asked sternly. I don't have the qualifications to know. It should be in Yuan Tianzong's hands. Otherwise, when I came to the immortal sealing gate, he secretly took care of me. He gave me a Tao right, and I could choose any of the 7 heavenly caves to cultivate in. He even promised me that I would definitely become a vice elder in the future. You really don't know? I really don't know. I've already fallen to such a state. Could it be that I'm willing to risk my life for a treasure? Then I won't kill you for now. Just stay here obediently. Su Fang turned and prepared to leave. I am begging you. I don't expect you to let me go, but please don't kill my Zhao family's descendants. I'm begging you. At this moment, Zhao Wuji actually abandoned his self-respect and begged. Chapter 435. Su Fang was unmoved. Back in the day, my ancestors must have begged you like this as well. As soon as the sentence came out, it was like ruthlessly pushing Zhao Wuji into the abyss, especially the Zhao family. Dozens of people were going to die in Su Fang's hands. Zhao Wuji fell into a whirlpool of pain, living a life worse than death. Every sentence and word from Su Fang's mouth was like a knife cutting into his heart. But I'm not you, Zhao Wuji. At this moment, the killing intent disappeared from Su Fang's deep eyes. As the saying goes, every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. You were the one who destroyed my family, Su. You were the one who slaughtered my family, Su's royal family. Therefore, I will only make you pay with your blood. Is this reincarnation? Zhao Wuji completely collapsed. Yang Ying returned to the divine aperture. After crushing several teleportation talismans, he felt a very familiar aura. It was the flying immortal island. Heaven and earth were filled with demonic aura. There were countless islands in the vast waters, and it was unknown how many powerful demons there were. After a while, Su Fang once again arrived in the clouds in front of Xinjia Gate, which was as shocking as a sailboat. At this moment, the scenes from 10 years ago seemed to have happened 100 years ago. Exalted Master Yuezhen stopped cultivating in the Xianwang space. Master, I'm ready. Whoosh! Under Su Fang's summons, he drove the Xianguang away from Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda. Exalted Master Yuezhen came to nature and sighed when he saw the Xinjia Gate. To him, being trapped for thousands of years meant that he had spent his life in the Xinjia Gate. In the next moment, I will return to the Celestial Sealing Sect. After a while, Exalted Master Yuezhen recovered from his confusion and prepared to release his aura. Returning to the Celestial Sealing Sect, you and I will usher in a new beginning. 10 years ago, I, Su Fang, was famous in the Celestial Sealing Sect. 10 years later, I will be famous everywhere. After Su Fang nodded decisively, he took out the sealed disciple tokens with Exalted Master Yuezhen and released them in an instant. Buzz. The 2 disciple tokens released an astonishing aura. Su Fang asked again, how long will it take? Exalted Master Yuezhen's breathing was ragged, and his hair was a mess. In 3 breaths of time, the restricted space of the Immortal Sealing Sect will sense the aura of my talisman. In less than 10 breaths of time, the higher-ups of the Immortal Sealing Sect will rush over. As an elder, I will leave my talisman and aura in the restricted area of the Immortal Sealing Sect. The elders, grand elders, and other higher-ups of the Immortal Sealing Sect will be in charge of it. That way, if anything happens to an elder, or if they release their aura, the restricted space will sense it. As for Su Fang, he looked like he had been seriously injured. His face was pale, and his genuine qi was insufficient. He looked like he had just experienced a life and death ordeal. After a short while, the 2 of them were in front of the Xinjia Gate, absorbing the natural aura in a sorry state, looking sickly. Wu Shui figure walked over from the depths of the sky. Su Fang's heart skipped a beat when he saw the man's face. It was Elder Yuan Tianzong. He didn't know how powerful this man was. Hua 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 before Yuan Tianzong's body completely stopped. More than 10 figures appeared behind him. Moreover, there was a magical door behind them. Su Fang and Exalted Master Yuezhen pretended to notice the abnormality. When they looked ahead, more than 10 giants had already turned from nothingness to reality. There were only 2 people that Su Fang could recognize. One was Yuan Tianzong, and the other was the master of Frozen Moon Cave, Jin Changkong. Jin Changkong's sword-like eyebrows were almost vertical. It's Fang Yu. Taking the opportunity, Su Fang hurriedly bowed. Frozen Moon Cave's disciple Fang Yu greets Elder Jin. It's really Fang Yu. Yuan Tianzong also recognized him. Not only him, but more than 10 elders behind him also seemed to know Su Fang. More than 10 elders immediately strode over. Their surprised, and shocked gazes shifted from Su Fong to exalted Master Yuezhen, who was floating behind them. Every elder was curiously sizing up exalted Master Yuezhen. Whether it was his Taoist robe or talisman, it was completely obvious that exalted Master Yuezhen was a disciple of the immortal sealing sect. An elder probed, "Who are you?" Someone beside him muttered, "He should be the elder senior who disappeared after entering the immortal Jia Gate 6,000 years ago." Elder Yuezhen. Yuan Tianzong formally took a step forward and cupped his fists towards exalted Master Yuezhen. "Are you Senior Yuezhen?" Exalted Master Yuezhen stood with his hands behind his back. "I am Elder Yuezhen. You are the current elders of the immortal sealing sect. Why aren't there any old faces like Elder Wang Ju and Elder Lin Kuan?" Elder Wang Ju, Elder Lin Kuan. These names made the elders feel as if they were struck by lightning. That was because they were all elders of the immortal sealing sect thousands of years ago, or even tens of thousands of years ago. Those elders have already passed away. Jin Changkong bowed. "I didn't succeed in transcending my tribulation." Exalted Master Yuezhen sighed. He suddenly looked at the other side of the sky. Two figures appeared in the sky. "Huh!" He suddenly let out a long laugh. "There are still old people alive. As expected, it's Brother Yuezhen." One of the figures gradually became clearer. The other figure sighed. 10,000 years have passed in the blink of an eye. I didn't expect Brother Yuezhen to be able to return alive from the immortal Jia Gate. Greetings, Grand Elders." Yuan Tianzong, Jin Changkong, and the other elders bowed to greet the two figures. The immortal sealing sect's Grand Elders are truly terrifying. They are indeed a bit stronger than exalted Master Yuezhen. Any one of them is as strong as Li Ziqing. As an imperishable realm cultivator, Su Fong could feel the terrifying aura of the elders as he stood among them. Exalted Master Yuezhen secretly transmitted his thoughts. "Master, the elder on the left is called Xiao Yun. He cultivates a flame divine ability. The elder on the right is called Taoist Wuzhen. He was from the same era as me and was given a Dharma name by the sect at the same time. He is also an unfathomable fellow. It seems these two are the only surviving elders of the immortal sealing sect from 10,000 years ago. Furthermore, they have become the two strongest elders of the immortal sealing sect." Xiao Yun, Taoist Wuzhen. He firmly remembered that these were two first elders with as much authority as the current sect master. At this moment, the two grand elders became clearer. Xiao Yun had white hair and looked to be in his 70s. He was dressed in black and wasn't very tall, but he was full of spirit. The one on the right was Taoist Wuzhen, who looked to be in his 80s. He had several vertical lines on his temples and a layer of wrinkles on his forehead. He also had white hair, but the difference was that his white hair was tied up in a sword bun. His thin body and black robes made his eyes look incomparably hale and hardy. The two grand elders walked over and received the salutes of the other elders. Xiao Yun introduced, "There's no doubt that this is one of the elders from 10,000 years ago, exalted Master Yuezhen. Elders, why haven't you saluted the ancient elders?" Exalted Master Yuezhen bowed. "The two of you are too polite. After not seeing each other for several thousand years, your cultivations have already surpassed mine. You've finally achieved your old dream of becoming grand elders. Congratulations. Greetings, senior elders." The elders simultaneously saluted exalted Master Yuezhen. Then, over 100 people appeared from the profound door. They were all in the Calamity Realm. Moreover, Su Fong saw some familiar people among them, some of the higher-ups of Frozen Moon Grotto, and some experts with profound cultivation. Even Huang Lingyao was among them. At this moment, Su Fong's gaze fell on Huang Lingyao. Huang Lingyao also saw Su Fong. She frowned in surprise. Taoist Wuzhen nodded to the experts. "Step forward. This is our sect's elder from 10,000 years ago, Elder Yuezhen." Over 100 people quickly stepped forward. Their eyes were filled with shock. An ancient elder had appeared out of nowhere, and he had even come out of the Xinjia Gate alive. "Su Fong, what's going on?" Why didn't you mention this ancient elder to me? While the 100 experts were saluting exalted Master Yuezhan, Huang Lingyao secretly transmitted her voice to Su Fang. Her voice was filled with anger. She clearly knew that a dignified, exalted Tao disciple had been tricked by an ordinary disciple. In front of her, Su Fang unexpectedly did not inform her beforehand, nor did he mention Yuezhan Shangren. Concealing this matter was actually a slap to her face, especially when Huang Lingyao thought about how she had completely controlled Su Fang. But now, she had been slapped in the face. Su Fang apologized and politely replied, "This disciple has his own difficulties. Please allow disciple to return to the sect and explain to senior apprentice sister." All right. Huang Lingyao stood among the crowd. She seemed to be silent, but Su Fang's figure kept appearing in her eyes. 2-2. Just as everyone was discussing exalted Master Yuezhan and how to accept this elder's sudden arrival, a powerful aura suddenly surged from behind. Grand Elder Xiao Yun raised his arm and shouted, "Sect Master has arrived." Everyone was immediately shaken. With respect and fear, they bowed towards the distorted space above. "Welcome, Sect Master." Even Su Fang and exalted Master Yuezhan immediately saluted. Above the space, the distorted energy turned into a white-robed youth. He was only 25 years old. His white robe was as white as snow, without a speck of dust. It also emitted a sacred aura, which perfectly merged with the flying Immortal Island's high-level aura. His realm and ability were inconceivable. One had to know that the flying Immortal Island's aura had been changed by the Xinjia Gate. Even Grand Elder Xiao Yun and Grand Elder Huozhen couldn't control it. However, this young man with a dignified appearance was able to control all of this. The current sect master really isn't the current leader. It's one of the two exalted Tao disciples under the previous sect master, Ling Mubai. He has taken over the position of leader and controls the Immortal Sealing sect. Exalted Master Yuezhan's voice rang in Su Fang's mind. Ling Mubai has cultivated for around 8,000 years. When he was 2,000 years old, his name shook the entire Zhuotian world, and he became the previous sect master's exalted Tao disciple. He had just stepped into the catastrophe realm before I entered the Xinjia Gate. 8,000 years old Ling Mubai. The current sect master would never have thought that such a young man would be the leader of such a large faction. Who would believe that? He had lived for 8,000 years. Not to mention such a long lifespan. Even if it was 1,000 years, Su Fang felt that it was already beyond his imagination. "Everyone get up." In the air, Leader Ling Mubai floated over like a white leaf. With a wave of his hand, an invisible force lifted up the 100 experts present. He then looked at exalted Master Yuezhan. Only then did Ling Mubai's natural face have an additional expression, a lofty one. Ling Mubai nodded and said in front of everyone, "Elder Yuezhan, the last time we met was a few thousand years ago. Now, it has passed in the blink of an eye. To be able to see an old friend right before the tribulation, I'm especially happy. Everyone says that the heavenly Tao is heartless, but sometimes the heavenly Tao will still sprinkle some hope. Although it's too late to congratulate you, I still have to congratulate the sect master for ascending to the position." Exalted Master Yuezhan also bowed towards Ling Mubai. Ling Mubai personally lifted exalted Master Yuezhan up. "You, Grand Elder Xiao and Grand Elder Hua, are the only 3 remaining experts of our sect. From now on, our sect has another Grand Elder. Greetings, Grand Elder." Everyone bowed towards exalted Master Yuezhan again. Ancient experts. Becoming the Grand Elder was an indisputable fact. At this moment, Yuan Tianzong bowed towards Ling Mubai. "Leader, this is not the place to talk. There are many eyes and ears. Let's welcome Elder Yuezhan back to the sect and hold the ceremony in the sect." "Welcome back, Elder Yuezhan." Ling Mubai's voice was solemn and ancient. In an instant, a huge door shot out from between Ling Mubai's eyebrows. This door did not allow people to enter, but directly enveloped them. More than 100 people disappeared into thin air in front of the Xinjia door. Chapter 436. Immortal Sealing Gate. There were many Tribulation Realm disciples floating around the formation, as well as some Yang Soul Realm disciples. It wasn't until a magical door passed through the barrier that everyone returned to the dojo. Immortal Sealing Gate. I, Su Fong, am back. The door of subtlety appeared in the depths of the Dao Plaza, the core Dao Plaza above the Yu Dao, Immortal Heaven. Wait outside. Great Elder Xiao Yun gave an order to more than 100 experts. He, the elders, and the current sect master Ling Mubai welcomed Exalted Man Yuezhen into a deeper space. That's Fan Yu. It really is him. His life is too tough. He actually came back alive from Xinjia Gate. Fuck, I think Great Elder Yuzhen saved him when he came out. I still remember the scene of his left arm being crippled by Crown Prince Shui. What left arm? Didn't you see Fang Yu's left arm? He reattached it in 10 years. What's the point of coming out alive? Last time, he offended Prince Shui in front of 100,000 disciples. Even if he comes out alive, he'll still be killed by the Crown Prince faction. This kind of person is just a clown. He's just trying to attract attention. He even dares to challenge Prince Shui. Su Fong didn't follow the elders into the deeper space. As an ordinary disciple, he didn't have the qualifications to enter such a place. Not to mention him, even Tribulation Realm disciples couldn't enter. He didn't even use his full strength, but he could already hear all kinds of harsh and unkind laughter. Glancing over, he saw over 100 people, including first and second level Tribulation Realm experts, looking at him with all kinds of gazes. Perhaps being able to stand in front of Tribulation Realm disciples that he couldn't interact with in the past was also an achievement. Fang Yu. A group of people flew over. They were the upper echelons of Frozen Moon Paradise. Yin Caifeng's cultivation base wasn't the strongest among them. The surrounding experts of Frozen Moon Paradise also came out. Dozens of experts arrived in front of Su Fong. Most of them found it hard to believe that he had died in Xinjia Gate. They didn't expect him to come out alive. Not only that, he came out with the third Grand Elder. What did this mean? Anyone with a discerning eye knew. At this moment, Su Fong was no longer an ordinary disciple. Instead, he was a disciple who had a relationship with the Grand Elder. Even the Catastrophe Realm disciples did not dare to disregard Su Fong's existence. Su Fong stood alone at the edge, facing countless experts. But at this moment, only the higher-ups of Frozen Moon Grotto were present. Disciple Su Fong Yu greets senior brothers and sisters. Junior Sister Yin, your eyes are really sharp. You didn't even let go of such a seedling. That's right, we all misjudged him. Many senior members of the Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven were impressed. No matter what outsiders thought of Su Fong, he was still a disciple of Frozen Moon Cave Heaven. Especially now. Su Fong's relationship with the Exalted Man Yuezhen was obviously not simple. The two of them came out from the Xinjia Gate together. Now that the Exalted Man Yuezhen was the Great Elder, if the Frozen Moon Grotto could get the support of a Great Elder, then it would only be a matter of time before they surpassed the Myriad Dao Grotto and Ethereal Grotto among the 7 Grotto Heavens. They were all old foxes. How could I not think of this? Immediately, many senior members of the Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven came over to express their concern for Su Fong. 10 years ago, only Yin Caifeng regarded him as an existence. But now, he was an important disciple in the eyes of all the senior members. Yin Caifeng said in front of everyone, Fang Yu, we were going to the Xinjia Gate to look for you, but that place was too dangerous, so we gave up in the end. Especially since no one has ever come out of the Xinjia Gate alive. I hope you don't blame the grotto. I won't blame the grotto. This is my great calamity. Instead, I want to thank the grotto for not entering the Xinjia Gate to save me. I was lucky to meet the Great Elder Yuezhen. He stood straight in front of Yin Caifeng and spoke as usual. There was no longer the shocking gap between his status and cultivation in the past. Not only did he have the support of the Exalted Man Yuezhen, but more importantly, Su Fong already had the strength to face Yin Caifeng directly. But Prince Shui took away several of my magic treasures and a large amount of resources. If Senior Apprentice Sister has the time, please report all of this to Elder Jean and give me an explanation. This matter won't be easy. In truth, once the trial ended, our grotto investigated the entire process for you. We confirmed that you were connected to the monster race, especially the heavenly drilling rat. That is a righteous faction, a big goblin that everyone wants to get rid of. This matter has already been set in stone. At the time, there were still people who wanted to hold you accountable, but in the end, the grotto suppressed them. It's impossible for you to get back your magic treasures. In truth, you don't need to think about the past anymore. I understand. We won't disturb you anymore. We can feel that you're heavily injured, and the Great Elder will summon you soon. After all, you and the Great Elder coming out of the Xinjia Gate is a huge matter that shakes the entire Zhuotian world. Even we can't ask too much. These are marrow-cleansing pills and pure essence pills. After Yin Kaifeng explained, she represented Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven to take out a large amount of resources and give them to Su Fong. In the end, Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven's upper echelon retreated to the central area. Some people left, while others were still waiting. Su Fong seemed to be isolated from those upper echelon experts. In truth, everyone knew that with the current situation, Su Fong would definitely be summoned by the sect. Naturally, it was about the Xinjia Gate. Everyone understood the importance of this matter. Su Fong. No one disturbed Su Fong anymore. Huang Lingyao's thoughts clearly entered Su Fong's mind. Now, you can tell me what happened. Huang Lingyao. Su Fong looked at the center of those experts and instantly saw Huang Lingyao and some female disciples gathered together. They seemed to be chatting, but she was secretly paying attention to his every move. He immediately released his thoughts and explained, "Back then, I was forced to enter the Xinjia Gate. As a result, I was trapped inside for many years. The energy inside the Tao item was truly terrifying, and I was about to die from the pressure. Who knew that I would unexpectedly meet the Great Elder Yuezhen? It's that simple? Probably. Tell me in detail. Where did you meet the Great Elder? When I escaped into the Xinjia Gate, I didn't know what the world was like. I was worried that Prince Shui would hunt me down, so I used a King Grey Dharma artifact that I had fused with before and hid inside. I hid for a few years before I dared to leave the Dharma artifact space. I wanted to leave, but I didn't have the strength and also lost my way. I ran into walls everywhere and saw many bones. I also found a lot of treasures. Just like that, I stumbled all the way. Who knew that I would be hunted down by a young, nascent realm expert? I was like a headless fly and could only run for my life. The power of the Xinjia Gate's shackles was too terrifying, and I accidentally broke into a new space world of the Tao item. There were also many bones in that space world. The new space was the second level of the Tao item space. I don't know. I only cared about my life and fell in head first. After hearing this, Huang Lingyao couldn't wait to ask, "Can't you tell the location of that space?" "I can't remember at all," the latter replied helplessly. "Continue." That space was even more terrifying. I couldn't fly, nor could I control my Dharma artifacts. I constantly felt my life force slipping away every day. I could only swallow the various pills that I carried with me. I have to thank Senior Apprentice Sister for giving me so many pills. I persevered all the way and found even more strange treasures among those skeletons. Those skeletons came from various major powers in the Zhuotian realm. There were too many of them. Although I had medicinal pills and resources, I still couldn't afford to waste them. I thought they were all dead people, but I didn't know that there were still living cultivators in that space, and they were all in the tribulation realm. But so what? They were all living a life worse than death. However, they could control magical treasures and use divine abilities. There were even some almighty beings who wanted to capture me, saying that they could absorb my blood to recover their life force. As I ran, I even forgot about my fear. In the end, I was still caught by a tribulation realm cultivator. I was about to be suppressed by him. At that time, I also felt that my life was coming to an end. I had offended Prince Shui. I was able to escape his pursuit alive, but so what? I still had to die in the Xinjia Gate. How many tribulation realm cultivators also turned into bones? And at that moment, I accidentally entered a space. The Tribulation Realm cultivator who was chasing me also chased after me. Just as I was about to die, a Grand Elder suddenly appeared. I didn't know whether he was an elder of the sect or an ancient Tribulation Realm cultivator. I hoped that he could save me. However, Grand Elder was also dispirited. He didn't even have the strength of an undead realm cultivator. He fought with that Tribulation Realm cultivator. During the process, I saw Daluo, Heavenly Sword Chi, and Little Yellow's Heavenly Divinity Energy. Great Elder was fighting with his opponent, and suddenly, space began to tremble. It was like space was about to collapse, and I felt like I was suffocating. Who would have thought that a magical treasure would suddenly shine with a peerless light, and divine might would descend? Great Elder could tell that it was a Tao item, so he used the last of his strength to kill his opponent and then brought me closer to the Tao item. Grand Elder and I approached the Tao artifact. As soon as we touched the bead, we felt a dazzling divine light being released from the Tao artifact bead. Then the world turned upside down and we lost consciousness. When we woke up, we were actually at the entrance of the first level of the Xinjia Gate. The Tao artifact bead was actually in my hands. Grand Elder didn't care about the bead. Life and death were more important. Su Fong heaved a sigh of relief. That's what I encountered in the Xinjia Gate. You haven't explained everything about the Tao artifact bead. When you and Grand Elder came out of the Xinjia Gate, why didn't you return to the sect immediately? Huang Lingyao was still full of doubts, and her mind was abnormally calm. Instead, you went to the Wu-Tan realm. After all, I've only been in the Xinjia Gate for a few years, and the Great Elder wants to cultivate with all his might. He doesn't want me to release my aura, so he just returned to the sect and let me cultivate by myself, and then wait for him to summon me. Disciple was worried that I would be discovered by the sect in the Zhuotian realm, so I secretly went to the Wu-Tan realm and accidentally met Senior Sister. At that time, I could only hide it from Senior Sister. After all, the Great Elder had given an order not to reveal any information about him. In the end, Disciple could only let Senior Sister down. I understand. For some reason, Huang Lingyao's tone suddenly became empty. I want to ask about other things. Pretend that I didn't say anything. But you have to be honest in front of me in the future. Also, don't tell outsiders about what happened in the Jingluo waters of the Wu-Tan realm. I won't reveal half a word. I believe you. You can keep your mouth shut about Grand Elder. Huang Lingyao's thought completely disappeared at this moment. Su Fang's expression was firm. She doesn't even want to ask about the Tao artifact. Everyone wants to find out the secret of the Xinjia Gate, make contributions, and become the future leader. Huang Lingyao wants to get the secret from me. You're too calculative. You get all the benefits, and I end up with nothing. Disciple Fang Yu, Grand Elder summoned you in. At this moment, a shadow of Jin Zhongkong came from the enchantment behind. Chapter 437. As expected, Fang Yu was summoned. Of course, if we can think of it, how can the sect not think of it? The Xinjia Gate has been in the Zhuotian world for many years. Many factions and cultivators want to obtain it. Now, Fang Yu and the Great Elder are the only ones who can come out alive from the Xinjia Gate. They will definitely give the sect important information about the Xinjia Gate. That's right. Once our sect obtains the Xinjia Gate, we will definitely become the strongest faction in the future. This ordinary disciple will soon become famous in the Zhuotian world because he came out alive from the Xinjia Gate and basked in the Great Elder's glory. Just as Su Fang bowed, when he used his power, he heard more than 100 experts talking behind him. Their voices? But Su Fang heard it very clearly. After listening, he seemed to be able to see some of the sect's thoughts about him. Disciple understands. After getting up, he obediently followed Jin Zhongkong's will into the barrier. In an instant, through Jin Zhongkong's control, he didn't see any other space. In front of him was a palace with floating immortal clouds. There were immortal clouds in the palace. Moreover, the palace's aura was of the same level as the flying immortal island. It seemed that this was a certain space in the center of the immortal ceiling sect. Because of the high-level aura, only peerless experts would cultivate here. He quickly lowered his head and saw everything in the palace. Not only were there a dozen elders, but there were also Xiao Yun, Taoist Wuzhen, and exalted Master Yuezhen. There was also the leader, Ling Mubai. Apart from these people, there were also a few people. All of them had white hair, and their faces couldn't be seen clearly. Their auras were too powerful. They were completely the same as Xiao Yun and the other ancient experts. Could they also be ancient experts? If so, then the Immortal Sealing sect had too many ancient experts. Could this be the foundation of a first-rate faction? Jin Zhongkong sat on the side. Fang Yu, raise your head. Hearing the order, Su Fang raised his head and looked at the surroundings. He then looked at Ling Mubai and bowed. Disciple Fang Yu greets the elders, the three great elders, and the sect master. Thank you for your hard work. Among the three elders sitting below Ling Mubai, Taoist Wuzhen nodded and said with a voice as loud as a divine bell, "Tell us everything you have experienced in the Xinjia Gate." As expected, Su Fang smiled calmly in his heart. Master, don't worry. Everything will go according to our plan. At that moment, exalted person Yuezhen's thoughts appeared in Long Chen's mind. Straightening his body, Su Fang said, "It's like this. Disciple has entered the Xinjia Gate." In front of the first elder, the elders, the leader, and a few unknown old antiques, Su Fang told them about his experience in the Xinjia Gate. The content was the same as what he said to Huang Lingyao. He didn't hide anything, except for the Taoist pearls. He had deliberately asked Huang Lingyao to hide this and then inform the sect. At that time, if Huang Lingyao noticed that something was wrong, he could directly blame it on Yuezhen. After all, it was a Tao artifact, and it was related to the Xinjia Gate. She was just a disciple of the exalted Tao. Did she really think she was above the great elder and the entire sect? After half a day, he finally managed to recount the entire story that he had made up beforehand, word by word. He also noticed that no one's expression changed. This was enough to prove that everything exalted Master Yuezhen had told them was completely the same as what he had said. The Immortal Sealing sect's upper echelon was completely convinced. Grand Elder Xiao Yun said, "Fang Yu, can you take out your Tao artifact and show it to everyone?" Su Fang pretended to be startled, not knowing what to do. After repeating this for 3 breaths, Su Fang immediately bowed. A Xian Guang pearl appeared in his hands, and he said, "Disciple Fang Yu is willing to offer this Tao artifact to the sect. It's my honor to be able to contribute to the sect." Yes, Brother Jin, the disciples you've raised are really not bad. Yuan Tianzong, who wasn't far from Su Fang, was the first to praise him. Following that, the other elders also began to seriously examine Su Fang. Grand Elder Xiao Yun said solemnly, "You have to think this through. This is a Tao artifact, and the sect has always followed the wishes of every disciple. You're the one who obtained the Tao artifact, so you can definitely obtain it. Disciple has already thought it through. I'll offer the treasure to the sect," said Su Fang. "Good." Jin Zhongkong walked over to Su Fang and carefully took the Tao artifact pearl. Then he walked up the stairs and handed it to Xiao Yun in front of everyone. Jin Zhongkong nodded to Su Fang. "Fang Yu, you can leave for now. Wait outside. Disciple will take his leave." After bowing, Su Fang walked to a door outside the palace. The Immortal Sealing sect is just testing Master. How could they know that everything is under Master's control? Exalted Yuezhen's thoughts once more appeared in his mind. The door shook, and Su Fang returned to the space where he had been before. There were still over 100 experts in front of him. Seeing Su Fang return, those experts once more began to discuss among themselves. Su Fang politely transmitted, "Senior Apprentice Sister, why don't I see the other 2 Exalted Path disciples? Prince Shui and Shang Changsheng are both training outside. Many of the sect's higher-ups will also return. But soon, the sect will hold a grand ceremony for the Grand Elder, and they'll all return. Su Fang, how will you handle Prince Shui's matter?" From Huang Lingyao's tone, it seemed she also wanted to know what he was planning. "Disciple and Prince Shui will not rest until one of us is dead. I hope Senior Apprentice Sister can support me. There's still some time until the 10-year agreement between Disciple and Prince Shui. At that time, Disciple will challenge him. You're still going to challenge Prince Shui? Prince Shui is an obstacle in Disciple's path of cultivation. I must kick him away. You've improved rapidly. You've already reached the 10th level. You broke through really quickly. You've already reached the 10th undying heavenly layer. Sea City has already told me everything about you. It seems you've already made up your mind. But are you sure you're Crown Prince Shui's match? He's not someone who will easily forgive others. If you're not his match, he'll mercilessly kill you. He'll let you escape once, but he won't let you escape a second time. Disciple is 60% sure. Even if I'm 50% or 40% sure, Disciple will still challenge Prince Shui. Right now, you should focus on recovering from your injuries. If you can't recover in this period of time, I won't be able to see any hope. In the future, I'll find some time to tell you everything about Crown Prince Shui. Understanding him will give you a greater chance. Huang Lingyao confirmed Su Fang's attitude several times. Seeing that Su Fang had made up his mind, she was secretly happy. How could she not be happy that someone could deal with Prince Shui? Xianhuang. Gathering his spirit, Yang Ying began to communicate with Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. The Xianhuang origin spirit appeared in front of Yang Ying. Master, what's the matter? Just now, in front of so many big shots, I didn't dare to sense the purple Qi Dharma spirit. Release your ability now and sense the surroundings. See if there's any purple Qi Dharma spirit. This is the core of the celestial sealing sect. Most likely, the purple Qi Dharma spirit is nearby. Yes, Master. After a while, with Su Fang's celestial sealing sect's origin aura as a foundation, the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda perfectly merged with Su Fang. At this moment, Su Fang's body almost became a new Dao artifact body of the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. About 10 breaths later, the Xianhuang origin spirit's power disappeared. He said helplessly, Master, there's no purple Qi Dharma spirit's aura. I'm sure it's not nearby or in someone's body. Could it be that it's not in the celestial sealing sect, or that no one is fused with the purple Qi Dharma spirit? It's sealed in a special space? Su Fang frowned as he thought of 2 possibilities. But I sensed some purple Qi Dharma spirit's aura from that sword sage's body. From this point of view, the purple Qi Dharma spirit should have been merged with someone. Otherwise, how could a disciple who isn't an elder come into contact with the purple Qi Dharma spirit? That's possible. After returning to normal, he still couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure it out. With Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda's ability, could it be that he still couldn't figure it out? Whoosh! At this moment, another thought was transmitted along with the power of control. Su Fang disappeared in an instant. When he came back to his senses, he was already in an incomparably familiar space. He was surrounded by floating mountains, and below him was a group of palaces. Fangyu, Jin Zhangkong, and a dozen of Frozen Moon Grotto's higher-ups appeared. So he had returned to Frozen Moon Grotto. However, it shouldn't be the lower celestial heaven or the upper celestial heaven. Could it be the celestial touching celestial heaven? This is the highest level of Frozen Moon Grotto. Below us is Frozen Moon Hall. We still need to confirm a few things. After saying this, Jin Zhangkong gestured for Su Fang to follow them and fly into the largest palace at the peak of the mountain. Frozen Moon Hall, there were a few disciples in the surroundings, all of them in the Tribulation Realm. They were in charge of patrolling Frozen Moon Hall. After entering the hall, Su Fang heard someone secretly talking to Jin Zhangkong. Elder brother, why do we still need to use the True Phase Realm to verify Fang Yu's identity? Didn't he go to the Hall of Elders before? The matter, just now, was urgent. The elders wanted Fang Yu to verify some important matters, so he didn't use the True Phase Realm. Furthermore, the 3 Grand Elders personally issued orders to reward Fang Yu and make him a Conclave disciple. As a Conclave disciple, he will have access to many high-level energy arts and secrets of the sect. Jin Zhangkong replied. Then he sat down on the throne, and the other higher-ups sat on either side. Jin Zhangkong said majestically, after the elders' discussion, Fang Yu, henceforth you are a Conclave disciple of the sect. Because of your great service to the sect, The elders have decided that from this day on, you will be a sect chief and one of the higher-ups here. Sect chief. Su Fong was so excited that he almost fainted. Even the other higher-ups of Frozen Moon Grotto had never imagined that a disciple would become a sect chief in just a few years. After all, sect chiefs were just below the elders and held important positions. Which sect chief didn't have shocking strength, outstanding talent, and disciples who had made great service to the sect? Apparently, they hadn't known about this. Jin Zhongkong continued to look at Su Fong. Considering your service, we could have granted you even more authority. Unfortunately, your cultivation base is too weak. In the future, when you reach the Tribulation Realm, the sect will promote you to an important position. Many thanks for the promotion, Elder. Fong Yu hastily bowed. You fought for all of this, so it belongs to you. However, the sect has rules that when you take up an important position, you must enter and exit the sect. The sect must verify your identity. This is the true phase realm, and it allows any human, demon devil, or devil to change their appearance to reveal their true self. Jin Zhongkong flicked his finger, and a white, oval-shaped mirror appeared in the middle of the hall. Disciple. Su Fong had long since expected this to happen. Putting on an awkward expression, he said, Disciple really did change my appearance to join the Immortal Sealing Sect. Oh, these words caused Jin Zhongkong to be greatly shocked. Originally, it had just been a routine rule. Who would have thought that Su Fong really had something up his sleeve? One of the higher-ups said, Then change back to your true appearance and go through the true phase realm. Chapter 438. This higher-up gave Su Fong a cold and emotionless feeling. The truth realm floated quietly as he used the bone-shifting technique. Images of him entering the Celestial Sealing Sect and cultivating appeared in his mind. Today, I can finally use my true identity to face the Celestial Sealing Sect. Under the expectations of the higher-ups, when Su Fong raised his head and passed by the Truth Realm, Su Fong changed his appearance first. When he passed by the Truth Realm with his true appearance, there were no abnormalities until Su Fong passed. But at this moment, what stood in front of everyone was no longer Fong Yu's familiar face. To the higher-ups present, Su Fong was now a stranger. Without waiting for Jin Zhongkong to ask, one of the higher-ups attacked, causing the air to sizzle. Why did you change your appearance? Su Fong was calm and composed. He knew this would happen. Before I joined the Celestial Sealing Sect, I offended many people. In fact, I joined the Celestial Sealing Sect with the intention of avoiding disaster. So, I joined the Celestial Sealing Sect with the intention of giving it a try. I didn't expect to succeed. Since then, I wanted to restore my original appearance many times, but I haven't had a good opportunity. The Truth Realm is created using a kind of strange stone. It allows humans, demons, and devils to reveal their true bodies. This is to prevent demons and devils from entering the sect and stealing Dharma treasures and cultivation techniques. Any core disciple must undergo the Truth Realm's inspection. Of course, the Truth Realm has another use. It can sense the aura within a disciple's body. From this, it can distinguish between demons and devils. Aside from your appearance, there are no other problems. When the elders saw that the Truth Realm didn't move, they had nothing to say. Jin Zhongkong nodded in front of everyone. With a wave of his hand, the Truth Realm was sucked into his palm. Buzz! A wave of power descended around Su Fong. After a few breaths of time, an essence was sucked into Jin Zhongkong's palm and transformed into a token. From now on, you are a sect master. Your status is the same as Junior Sister Yin, who is in charge of you. The token flew into Su Fong's hand, making Su Fong feel a shocking weight. Sect master. From now on, he didn't need to rely on exalted Yuezhan to have a foothold in the Celestial Sealing Sect. You experienced many life and death tribulations in the Celestial Sealing Sect. You are still heavily injured. On behalf of the Heavenly Grotto, I will give you a chance to cleanse your marrow and help you recover. Thank you, Elder. Marrow cleansing everything had been under Su Fang's control since he returned to the Celestial Sealing School. The only thing he hadn't foreseen was the marrow cleansing. Jin Zhangkong's eyes exploded with light. The surrounding 10-odd upper echelons all released a beam of divine light, which turned into an unparalleled aura above Su Fang. His aura immediately poured into Su Fang's body. With a vast momentum, it swept from his feet to his head, then from his head to his feet, sometimes up and down, sometimes from inside to outside. He had to seize this opportunity to control the strength of these Calamity Realm powerhouses. At the same time, he had to conceal the demonic energy and monster energy within his body. He couldn't allow these people to use the opportunity of marrow cleansing to sense everything within his body. The heavens are helping me. In less than a month, I'll be able to recover my strength and reach the peak of the indestructible 10th layer. Sweating profusely, the power of marrow cleansing surged within his body, and his injuries were immediately healed. Purification lasts for 3 days. When the upper echelons withdrew their auras, Su Fang was already full of energy. The silver in his head had also decreased. If one didn't pay attention, they wouldn't even see the white. Jin Zhangkong said, "It seems that although you experienced life and death in the Xinjia Gate, your cultivation was able to reach the indestructible 10th layer from the longevity realm 10 years ago. It could be considered your good fortune. In this empty bag, there are resources given to you by the Elder Group and our Heavenly Grotto Heaven. We'll give you 2 peak high-grade magical treasures, as well as hundreds of thousands of indestructible pure origin pills and various spirit stones. Now, go and see Junior Sister Yen. She'll guide you during this period of time. After you're familiar with it, I'll arrange it. Su Fang, work harder in the future. I hope you can use your strength to prove to the 7 Heavenly Grotto Heavens that you have the strength and qualifications to become a sect master. Disciple won't disappoint Elder, as well as senior brothers and sisters. I'll cultivate diligently. Disciple will take his leave." He bowed to the upper echelons. After leaving the space, Su Fang could still hear the upper echelons of the Ice Moon Heavenly Grotto Heaven discussing the Xinjia Gate. I reckon that the upper echelons of the Celestial Sealing Gate are all discussing the Xinjia Gate. Exalted Master Yuezhen will also have a high status because of this. After walking out of the palace, Su Fang looked at the patrolling disciples around him and took out his token. "I'll have to trouble senior brothers to lead me to see Sect Master Yen Kaifeng." The patrolling disciples landed on the ground. After looking at the token, they bowed to Su Fang. These disciples were all at the 1st to 2nd level of the Catastrophe Realm. Their realms were higher than Su Fang, but they didn't have the ability to take on the important position of a sect master. I didn't expect that a 10th level Undying Realm disciple would be able to become a sect master. I just heard some gossip from the insiders. This Fang you left the Xinjia Gate together with the 3rd Great Elder. He must have been taken care of by the Great Elder. With such a big backer, it won't be a problem for him to become a sect master. You and I are Catastrophe Realm core disciples who rely on strength and don't have a backer. We can only take one step at a time. This person's future is limitless. Don't be narrow-minded. Let's win him over first and build a good relationship with him. Maybe we can also borrow the Great Elder's power. A young man obeyed Su Fang's orders and flew out of the palace with him. The rest of the experts were secretly communicating around the palace. Congratulations, junior brother, for becoming a sect master. You're the envy of others. We disciples have reached the Catastrophe Realm with great difficulty, but we still haven't become a sect master. Only when our cultivation reaches the higher levels of the Catastrophe Realm can we have an important position. After passing through layers of space, a floating mountain range appeared in front of them. At this time, the young man also congratulated Su Fang and was very polite. After some understanding, they found out that this person was called Cheng Xiaoqing. He was at the 1st level of the Catastrophe Realm and had reached the Catastrophe Realm 100 years ago. It was his turn to patrol around the training grounds recently. He was also a core disciple from the Ice Moon Heavenly Grotto Heaven. At this moment, in another training ground. What? What? Inside the palace. Xuelong flew into a rage and stood up. His aura shattered the throne behind him. Below him was the crown prince of Great Qing, as well as a few noble Catastrophe Realm disciples. All of them were at the Catastrophe Realm. An expert reported to Xuelong, Fang Yu is indeed not dead. The upper echelons suddenly moved out and went to the Xinjia Gate. After returning, I went to check on him out of curiosity. In the end, I found that Fang Yu was alive and well. Just a moment ago, the elder of the Ice Moon Heavenly Grotto Heaven, Jin Changkong, issued a decree to all disciples above the Yang nascent realm. If senior brother Xue doesn't believe me, you can check the token. The Crown Prince of Great Qing immediately activated the token and searched for a moment. Suddenly, a Xian Guang appeared. Within the Xian Guang, Su Fang's original appearance was floating. The description below said that he was Fang Yu, and he was the sect master of the Ice Moon Heavenly Grotto Heaven. The name below was the elder of the Ice Moon Heavenly Grotto Heaven, Jin Changkong. Sect master, Fang Yu. The Crown Prince of Great Qing almost dropped the token in his hand. Grandmaster. In less than 10 years, Su Fang's position had risen from a nameless longevity disciple to a grandmaster who could surpass Tribulation Realm Core disciples. His position was above the disciples. The other experts also took out their tokens to check. In the end, not only was there a decree left by Jin Changkong, there were also orders from the elders. Damn Fang Yu. Not only did he not die in the Xinjia Gate, he even became a sect master. His left arm also seems to be fine. This guy, could it be that he obtained great luck in the Xinjia Gate? Xuelong suddenly waved his hand, ordering everyone to leave. After thinking for a moment, he immediately sat down cross-legged and formed seals. He took out a Qi talisman. After 10 breaths, Prince Xue's voice came from the talisman. I told you not to disturb me. Right now, I'm absorbing the essence of the Heavenly Gourd Spirit Tree. This will be of great help to me in obtaining the Heavenly Gourd Spirit Tree in the future. Xuelong trembled. Old ancestor, I have something to report to you. Speak quickly. It's about Fang Yu. Who is Fang Yu? Old ancestor, did you forget that 10 years ago, during the sex training, there was a disciple who provoked you in the Xinjia Gate? In the end, you crippled his left arm and stripped him of all his resources. Oh, I remember. Recently, I've been looking for the Heavenly Gourd Spirit Tree's weakness. This guy's source is very complicated and is buried in the earth. What do you think happened to that reckless Ant Fang Yu? I remember that he should have died in the Xinjia Gate. Old ancestor, don't tell me you don't know anything. Something big happened in the sect. I sealed my token and didn't want to be disturbed by the outside world. In the Celestial Sealing sect, only the leader personally sent me messages. I was able to sense it. Other than you descendants, the number of people I care about can be counted on one hand. Something big happened. An ancient elder called Exalted Master Yuzhan actually came out of the Xinjia Gate alive after thousands of years. That Fang Yu was only able to escape with him. An ancient elder. On the other side, Prince Xue cried out in alarm. Yes, the higher-ups just finished their meeting and announced that Exalted Master Yuzhan would become the 3rd Grand Elder. It really is a big matter. Of course, it's a big matter for the sect to have another Grand Elder. That's not what I'm talking about. Xuelong, think about it carefully. In all these years, who in the Zhuotian world hasn't wanted to obtain the Xinjia Gate? But no one has ever come out alive. Exalted Master Yuzhan is the first to do so. That means he'll be able to bring the Xinjia Gate's greatest secret to the sect. I understand. What you're saying is that the sect will be able to obtain the Xinjia Gate's secrets from the Grand Elder. Then one day, the sect will be able to obtain the Xinjia Gate. That's exactly what I'm saying. 10 years ago, when we went out for training, we mainly took the treasures we obtained from the Myriad Treasure Path and entered the Xinjia Gate to search for its secrets. In the end, Huang Lingyao, Chang Sheng, and I spent quite a bit of effort, but we still didn't find anything. But now, an ancient elder has suddenly come out alive. He's been trapped for thousands of years and has definitely entered the depths of the Shinja Gate. He definitely knows many of its secrets. Actually, Ancestor, I don't really care about that. The fact that the sect has the Shinja Gate doesn't affect me that much. I just want to kill that Fanyu. I see that he's still alive and well. His broken left arm has been reconnected, and furthermore, he's actually become a sect master. Sect Master Fanyu seems to be a cockroach that can't be crushed to death, right? Ancestor, you have to think of a way to get rid of him as quickly as possible. When Shuelong finished speaking, the sound of blood spurting out came from the other side of the talisman. Ancestor, Shuelong was shocked. Don't worry. I was originally in a state of merging with the heavenly gourd's essence, but now I have no choice but to forcibly stop cultivating. My mind is shaken, and I'll recover after resting for a while. I have to hurry back to the immortal sealing sect. Ancestor, could it be that you want him to kill Fanyu? What kind of sect master is Fanyu? This matter is very complicated. Right now, I want to befriend that Grand Elder Yuzhan and let him see how extraordinary I am. I want to obtain his support and let him tell me all the secrets of the Shinja Gate. Then I'll help the sect obtain a Dao item. Wouldn't that be a peerless contribution to the sect? Wouldn't the position of leader be easily obtained? Chapter 439. Old Ancestor, let's not kill Fanyu for now. He's in Shinja Gate, and he's sworn to challenge you in 10 years. Shuelong held the rune talisman in his hand. Facing Prince Shue's will, he was very respectful. That kind of ant has some luck and some talent, but he's too arrogant. He doesn't know how high the heavens are. I don't want him to challenge me in 10 years. After all, I'm a disciple of Zundao. Challenging him would be lowering my status. I'll ignore him. When I have the chance to refine the heavenly gourd spirit tree, I'll have this peerless spiritual treasure. Let's see who in the Zhuitian world can do anything to me. Buzz buzz. Prince Shue's was like a ripple. After a while, it calmed down in the depths of the rune talisman. The old ancestor said that the heavenly gourd spirit tree is extraordinary. If I can successfully refine that spiritual treasure, the old ancestor's strength will definitely reach the level of Yuan Tianzong. At that time, the Crown Prince faction won't need to rely on the normal higher-ups to become the strongest faction. If we want to kill Fanyu, he's just an ant. He can live one more time. Shuelong immediately sent out his will. The Crown Prince and a few other experts appeared in the main hall. They immediately asked if there was any news, especially the Crown Prince. When he thought about how Su Fong had killed the Crown Prince of the Qing Kingdom, his heart was filled with hatred. He couldn't wait to kill Su Fong with his own hands. At another Dao Right Hall. Junior Apprentice Brother, this is Master Yan's Dao Right Hall. I'll take my leave now. If you need anything in the future, just call me. Cheng Xiaoqing led Su Fong to a floating green mountain. He left behind a rune talisman and left politely. Fangyu. Yin Kaifeng flew out from the green mountain. When she saw Su Fong, she sized him up. I'm still not used to your unfamiliar face. Congratulations on being cleansed by Elder Jin. You're now a master. I've already received Elder Jin's notice. Su Fong said, sorry to trouble you, senior apprentice sister. I suddenly became a master. I'm not used to it. You'll get used to it after some time. Let me introduce you to the structure of the sect. Our Dao grounds are mainly divided into 4 major spaces: the low immortal heaven, the high immortal heaven, the touching immortal heaven, and the core Dao grounds where you and I are now. Of course, the temporary Dao grounds are connected to the low immortal heaven. The core dojo is also divided into many erase spaces. It's where most of the disciples from the Yang Soul Realm to the Catastrophe Realm cultivate. Yang Soul Realm disciples can only cultivate outside the core dojo. Only Catastrophe Realm disciples can cultivate inside. The core dojo isn't divided into 7 great dojos. The disciples who advance from the celestial touching heaven will be divided into different grotto heavens. The core dojo we're in right now mostly belongs to the Yang Soul Realm disciples who advance from the Frozen Moon Grotto. Although the core dojo isn't divided into 7 great dojos, the disciples who come to the core dojo are all united. The previous Dao grounds are in charge of them. As a master, you'll be in charge of all the disciples from the celestial touching heaven, and all the way to the core dojo. Some of the people you'll be in charge of are specific disciples. For example, I was in charge of you, as well as hundreds of other disciples. After you get used to it, Elder Jean and the higher-ups of the Celestial Grotto will assign some disciples to you to lead their cultivation. That's all you need to know right now. I still haven't found a high immortal Dao ground for you, but I'm sure you'll hear from me soon. In the meantime, you'll be staying at my Dao ground for a while. You'll need some time to get used to it. Yin Kaifeng continued to explain as she led Su Fong into Green Mountain. It was at this point that Green Mountain looked very similar to the upper immortal heaven grotto that Su Fong had once cultivated in and the Green Mountain Taoist ground. Yin Kaifeng explained that the upper immortal heaven, the frozen moon grotto, belonged to her Green Mountain Taoist ground and was nothing more than a spell formation. Every catastrophe realm disciple in the sect of Immortal Sealing was an extraordinary genius. Yin Kaifeng had found a palace for Su Fong in the forest near the peak of Green Mountain. Su Fong liked peace and quiet. Furthermore, he had to be far away from Yin Kaifeng in order to cultivate in peace. Inside the palace, for the sake of caution, Su Fong still used a sensing array formation. Coupled with his great circle ability, apart from experts like Jin Zhongkong and Yuan Tianzong, he would be able to sense any catastrophe realm powerhouse approaching. After returning to the sect of Immortal Sealing a few days ago, he was finally able to calm down. However, Su Fong didn't cultivate. All he did was open up some wounds on his body and implant some immortal fruit slices, as well as some high-grade marrow cleansing pills and pure essence pills. There's one more thing I have to do as soon as possible. After the wounds healed, Su Fong sensed the outside world. I have to go to Zhao Wuji's Dao ground as soon as possible and lure the 8th prince and the others out of the sect of Immortal Sealing. If I don't suppress them, once the undying longevity and the other disciples see my true appearance, the Zhao family will quickly recognize me and report to Yuan Tianzong. Then I'll be in danger. There was still a group of people in the Zhao clan who knew who Su Fong was. For example, the 8th prince, Zhao, Chengjing, Lu Lan, and a portion of the Zhao clan's imperial clan. Back when the Zhao nation's imperial city was destroyed, many of the Zhao clan's formidable experts had participated in that battle. Without Zhao Wuji, the Zhao family will soon lose their backing even without me doing anything. Yuan Tianzong and the Stone Saint Gang will not be able to protect Zhao Wuji and the other members of the Zhao family. With that in mind, he drew on the essence of the House of Immortal Bestowment, which he had acquired from the magma space in the Earth's core, as well as the essence of the Zhuotian realm. Sure enough, spiritual energy surged in a large area at a visible level. This was the power of the Zhuotian realm's origin. Because of the origin, the energy inside the Zhuotian realm could be absorbed and controlled by Su Fong as if it had recognized him as its master. He rested for 10 days. After finding an excuse, Su Fong temporarily flew away from the core training hall. First, he flew out of the House of Immortal Bestowment for half a day. Then, he arrived at the Myriad Dao Grotto Heaven and used the Master's Token. He could go anywhere in the 7 Grotto Heavens. Not long after, Su Fong appeared in the immortal heaven of the Myriad Tao's grotto. Outside of Zhao Wuji's Great Dao Field, he first changed his appearance to Fong Yu. After releasing his aura, several figures flew over from the palaces around the training hall. Brother Fong. The 8th prince, Zhao Chengjing, flew in the center. When he saw Fong Yu, it was as if he had seen a ghost. He couldn't believe that it was Fong Yu. Clearly, he had learned that Su Fong had entered the Xinjia Gate 10 years ago. Then, Prince Shui had taken away all his magic treasures and crippled his left arm. Even if he didn't die, he was equivalent to a cripple. But now, Su Fong was standing in front of him. He couldn't believe it. The 8th prince sized him up once more. You didn't enter the Xinjia Gate? Su Fong smiled. What a coincidence. I was lucky enough to have a fortuitous encounter in the Xinjia Gate. Not only did I not die, I even managed to return to the sect alive not long ago. Ah, if you had returned earlier, you would have been able to see my patriarch. Brother Zhao, what happened? Just a few months ago, my patriarch went to the spirit sect's ruins to carry out a mission. But something happened not long after. The mission failed, and it seems even he died in the outside world. The higher-ups sent word that the sect had confirmed my patriarch's death. Even the higher-ups of the Stone Saint Party came. Is that so? But I seem to have seen a figure not far from the training hall that looked extremely similar to Brother Zhao. I thought it was Brother Zhao, so as soon as I returned to the training hall, I rushed over to see Brother Zhao. But that figure wasn't Brother Zhao. Was I seeing things? My patriarch! The members of the Zhao family were pleasantly surprised. Brother Fong, what did you see my patriarch? Please tell me. The 8th prince asked urgently. Su Fong told the 8th prince the approximate location and added another sentence unintentionally. I saw that Brother Zhao seemed to be injured at that time. You have to send more people. If it is Brother Zhao, there is strength in numbers. Don't ask the sect for help. You have to confirm if it is Brother Zhao first. If you bring the sect's experts and it isn't Brother Zhao, wouldn't you have to trouble those senior martial brothers? At that time, if you have something to ask of them, I'm afraid it will be difficult to ask them to help. Many thanks, Brother Fong. Whether it is the patriarch or not, I represent the dozens of people of the Zhao family to thank Brother Fong. There isn't much time. I will return now and gather all the clansmen that can be mobilized. We will immediately rush over to see what is going on. The 8th prince repeatedly bowed and thanked Su Fong. He then brought a few people and flew back to the training hall. He transformed back to his original appearance and used his status as a martial master to control a high-grade array to hide in midair. In just a few minutes, over a dozen Zhao family cultivators flew out with Zhao Chengjing. There was also Lu Lan. These people were all at the Heaven Fusion realm and ranged from the first level to the higher levels. It was a pity that none of them had reached the Longevity realm or the Undying realm. If it wasn't for Zhao Wuji, the Zhao family would have been exterminated long ago. After a while, he left the Immortal Sealing sect from another direction. 2 hours later, over a dozen Zhao family cultivators were passing through a few mountain ranges. In front of them was a primitive forest. Under the 8th prince's lead, everyone started to flee into the forest. Everyone scatter and activate the runic talismans at the same time. We will search for the patriarch at the same time. Under the gloomy forest, the 8th prince ordered everyone. With a wave of his hand, everyone was about to scatter. You don't have to search anymore. Who knew? A sword net formed by the Zenith Heaven Sword Chi instantly controlled the 1-mile-wide forest. The sword net would strangle all the trees within the range. To the people of the Zhao family, this was like the wrath of heaven and earth. They were unable to contend against it. They huddled together and took out mid-grade artifacts to resist the aura. However, the sword net wasn't going to kill them. It was only going to compress them within a few meters. Even if a mid-grade artifact exploded, they wouldn't be able to break the sword net and escape. You don't have to struggle anymore. You are not a match for me. A figure suddenly appeared above the sword net. This voice is from Brother Fong. The 8th prince was in a sorry state. He raised his head while trembling. His doubtful gaze suddenly turned into astonishment because the person in front of him was indeed Fong Yu. Zhao Chengjing, as well as all the members of the Zhao family's royal family, take a good look at who I am. I am not the Immortal Sealing Sect's disciple Fong Yu that you all know. I am an old acquaintance of yours, Lu Lan. Am I right? Su Fong slightly raised his hands and executed the bone-shifting art. His appearance instantly changed from Fong Yu to his original appearance. He became the Su Fong from the Zhao Nation. Seeing Su Fong's new appearance, many people were at a loss. It was still unfamiliar. Lu Lan, who was tightly grabbing onto Zhao Chengjing's arm, suddenly turned pale. You? Why is it you, Su Fong? How can it be you? Su Fong. The 8th prince also recognized him. It is you. You are the one who destroyed everything in the Zhao Nation. I was still thinking of when I could return to the Zhao Nation and kill you. You actually came to the Immortal Sealing Sect and even disguised yourself as Fang Yu. Lu Lan, you didn't expect this, right? Actually, I pity you. Back then, you were also a genius. I overestimated you. From now on, you will follow the Zhao clan and walk down the dark path. Zhao Changjing, didn't you want to find your clan's patriarch? I will help you. Buzz. Under the sword net, a pagoda shadow door suddenly appeared. The pagoda door flashed and rumbled. The members of the Zhao clan couldn't fight back and were sucked into the pagoda door. Author's words. Many mysterious brothers said that the updates were not on time. I think it should be because the online mobile platform is unable to keep up with the online updates. The updates are also not on time, but the online updates are on time every day. Chapter 440. From now on, I don't have to worry about my identity in the Celestial Sealing Sect anymore. The sword net also disappeared, and a lot of powder rose into the air. Su Fang felt as if a huge weight had been lifted off of his shoulders. I've already wiped out the Zhao clan. The remaining members of the Imperial Zhao clan are all weaklings, and there's no way they would recognize me. Now that I don't have to worry about my identity being exposed, I don't have to worry about the House of Immortal Bestowment trying to steal the magical spirit from me. The surviving members of the Zhao family will soon be ostracized and disappear from the Celestial Sealing Sect. Even if one or two of them know my identity, they won't be able to invite Yuan Tianzong and make the sect listen to them. I'm the sect master now, and I even gave a Dao weapon to the Celestial Sealing Sect. There's also Exalted Yuezhen. Even if Yuan Tianzong hears about it, what can he do to me? Now that I have nothing to worry about, I can prepare to challenge Prince Shui. He's so high up that he might forget about me. But in a few months, I'll make him remember me for the rest of his life. He flew away from this area. Soon, he arrived at the crater. He went to the secret cave abode first. Demon King Shangzuan and Luan Mo learned about the alchemy situation. With the 7 cauldrons and a lot of experts, the alchemy capacity was 5 times higher than before. They could also refine high-level pure origin pills, such as pure origin pills at the Yang Nascent Realm. Demon King Shangzuan, you've been loyal to me all these years. I promised you that I'll give you the blood of a true demon. Now, are you ready? In a secret room, Su Fang summoned Demon King Shangzuan. After the latter knelt down and heard that Su Fang was going to give him the blood of a true demon, he was so excited. He had been waiting for this day for dozens of years. Gui, a familiar child appeared next to Su Fang. Gui had grown up a little and was about 6 years old. She had been cultivating in the true demon blood plate, and with the various powers in Su Fang's body, as well as the impact of spiritual power, Gui's strength was now at the Yang Soul Realm. Using a condensing force, he extracted a lump of demonic blood from Gui's body. Thank you, Master. Demon King Shangzuan kowtowed again. Buzz. The blood was sucked into Demon King Shangzuan's forehead. Demon King Shangzuan screamed and rolled on the ground. After a while, his ears changed. A true demon. Another true demon. Devil King Supreme looked at the true devil's body and shed tears of blood. I finally got what I wanted. I became a supreme, true devil, the most honorable existence in the devil Dao in the mortal world. I'm also a true devil. Seeing the Supreme Demon King transform into the true demon state, Gui also transformed into the true demon state. It should be the ability of the true demon blood. After all, the Supreme Demon King's true demon blood came from Gui. Now that it was stimulated by the Supreme Demon King, Gui could also sense it. Pill concoction has to be done one step at a time. Don't be too eager for quick success. Make sure the quality of the pills is good. Leave the extra pills for me. In the future, I'll bring them to the Wu-Tan world to work with the Celestial Sealing Sects Merchant Association. There's no need to hurry. The impotence pill has already spread throughout the Celestial Sealing Sect. After the Supreme Demon King gave the order, Su Fang left the secret cave with Gui. 100 miles away, in the wilderness near True Technique Sacred Immortal Sect. A few hours later, a sword light pierced through the air. Dressed in a blue robe, Lan Haiqing stepped on a flying sword and immediately fled into the wasteland. Within the forest, as soon as Lan Haiqing landed, Su Fong walked out of the darkness. Su Fong invited Lan Haiqing to a formation in the depths of the forest. I've troubled Senior Apprentice Sister again. Senior Apprentice Sister's injuries are still recovering, and Junior Apprentice Brother also has an important matter that requires Senior Apprentice Sister's help. Lan Haicheng coldly scolded, "Look at me. I can't help you much. Also, I just found out that you lied to Senior Apprentice Sister. Do you know how angry she was when you didn't tell her about the Yuezhan Grand Elder? I've experienced many life and death situations, and I understand that you must have your own secrets. The Yuezhan Grand Elder is the foundation for me to establish myself after returning to the Celestial Sealing Sect. I can't tell Huang Lingyao wholeheartedly. In fact, I already knew that she saw the possibility of me being able to resist Prince Shui. If it wasn't for that, she probably would have killed me in the Wutan world's Jingluo water region." "Ow. How do you know what Senior Apprentice Sister is thinking?" Su Fong immediately stared at Lan Haiqing. "Huang Lingyao is a disciple of the Sovereign Tao. Does that mean she can truly stand above me? Could it be that I was able to resist Prince Shui because of luck and not strength? I'm not an idiot. I can see that. Then you also know why Senior Apprentice Sister arranged for me to stay by your side." Disbelief and bewilderment appeared on Lan Haiqing's face. Su Fong shook his head. "Senior Apprentice Sister forced you to stay by my side. She said it was to help me cultivate, but in truth, she wanted to learn everything about me from me. In the end, she could have Huang Lingyao control me and turn me into a tool for her. Senior Apprentice Sister, am I right? Since you already know, then why did you still do your best to save me on the 7-star Demon Island? You even revealed your secrets in front of me." Lan Haiqing's eyes weren't just filled with bewilderment, but also anger. "Because until now, Senior Apprentice Sister has been speaking up for me in front of Huang Lingyao. You didn't tell Huang Lingyao my secrets. From the results, it completely proves my choice back then. It also proves what kind of person you are. You." Lan Haicheng clenched his teeth in anger, but he held back his anger. Then what kind of person am I?" Senior Apprentice Sister also had no choice but to listen to Huang Lingyao's decree. After all, she has always taken care of you. You were able to reach the Catastrophe Realm and become a high-level member of the Fragrant Jade faction because of her. It can be said that she has given you everything. You treat her as an elder sister and wholeheartedly follow by her side. You also want to repay her for taking care of you. Therefore, in the Wutan realm, Huang Lingyao forced you to stay by my side. Even if you didn't want to, in the end, you still agreed. Later, when you and I fell into the depths of the 7-star Demon Island, Senior Apprentice Sister and I followed each other through life and death. Step by step, we crossed the difficulties and escaped danger. When you returned to see Huang Lingyao, you didn't reveal half a word of my true secrets. If Senior Apprentice Sister had revealed them, Huang Lingyao wouldn't have been so angry when she saw me." After muttering, Su Fong looked at Lan Haiqing from a close distance. They could hear each other's breathing and heartbeat. "Senior Apprentice Sister, am I right? Do you think you can see through me?" Suddenly, what Su Fong couldn't understand was that Lan Haiqing suddenly burst into tears and angrily shouted at Su Fong. His body was also trembling. He didn't understand. Su Fong really didn't understand why Lan Haiqing would do such a thing. Whether he was right or wrong, Lan Haiqing shouldn't have done such a thing. This was the first time he saw Lan Haiqing angry. When I first entered the Immortal Sealing Sect, I was bullied by many people from the time I was a temporary disciple. When I finally became an official disciple, those Senior Apprentice Brothers insisted that I become their Tao companion. If I wanted to become an official disciple, I would have to exchange my innocence for it. As if talking to himself, Lan Haiqing lowered his head. His tears dripped down onto his palms. His voice grew hoarser and hoarser. "I experienced the decline of my family and suffered torment in the mortal world. Who would have thought that when I finally joined the Immortal Sealing Sect, I would still be unable to control my own freedom. And just when I was at my wit's end, I accidentally met Senior Apprentice Sister. It was Senior Apprentice Sister who punished those hateful Senior Apprentice brothers and saved me. She even took me with her and helped me become a young soul disciple in just a few hundred years. If it weren't for Senior Apprentice Sister, I would only have one fate. Just as Su Fong was about to comfort him, Lan Haicheng glared hatefully at him. Why didn't you appear at that time? Su Fong didn't understand. He was dumbstruck. Don't worry, I definitely wouldn't tell Senior Apprentice Sister about your secret. But if I did that, I would become a despicable person in front of Senior Apprentice Sister. Lan Haicheng looked away. I was just trying to survive. Huang Lingyao is very powerful and shrewd. If I didn't pay attention, I definitely wouldn't have a good ending under her hands. Senior Apprentice Sister is not shrewd. She just wants to compete with Prince Shui and Sheng Changsheng for the position of leader. I don't think so. Did you hear Huang Lingyao mention Shui Wuying? Who's Shui Wuying? Did she tell you why you went to the Wu-Tan world with her last time? Senior Apprentice Sister said she went to a water region to search for treasures for cultivation. Then you're wrong. She went to help her sister. She has a sister by blood. Did you know that Shui Wuying? Senior Apprentice Sister is an orphan. She joined the Immortal Sealing sect on her own. How could she have a family and a sister? Lan Haicheng didn't believe it. It was as if Su Fong's secret was like a needle that pierced her heart. Why would I lie to you? That woman is called Shui Wuying. She's very powerful. Huang Lingyao went to the Wu-Tan world because someone wanted to kill Shui Wuying. She went to help Shui Wuying escape danger and steal her magic treasure. In the end, she helped Shui Wuying get her magic treasure as she wished. It was also at that time that Huang Lingyao accidentally met me. Otherwise, how would I know all this? I thought she treated me like her own sister, like her only family. Why didn't she tell me about this for so many years? Could it be that I'm not worthy of her trust? Could it be that a few hundred years isn't enough for her to know and trust someone? 2 drops of blood tears fell from Lan Haicheng's eyes. She shook her head and muttered, Senior Apprentice Sister is a genius. She must have her own thoughts. Why does she treat me as her only family? She has secrets that she doesn't want me to know. It's for my own good. Senior Apprentice Sister also has the power to not let me know so much. Su Fong, don't you think so? Yes, you're right. For some reason, Su Fong nodded for the first time. In fact, she was comforting Lan Haicheng. Su Fong could more or less perceive her mood. Anyone would be heartbroken. For example, Shui Wuying. Even Su Fong, an outsider, knew about her relationship with Huang Lingyao. But Lan Haicheng, who had been with her for hundreds of years, didn't know anything. What would Lan Haicheng think? Especially Lan Haicheng. Subconsciously, she always thought that Huang Lingyao was her only family. Similarly, Huang Lingyao should also be her only family. As a result, I want to be alone. Lan Haicheng hugged her legs and leaned against the trunk. Su Fong walked out of the formation and looked at the sky. Suddenly, she felt that she had said too much. She believed a person too easily. It was because she believed in Lan Haicheng that she said so much. What if Lan Haicheng wasn't trustworthy? What if she knew who she was and her secrets? What if she became her enemy? Wouldn't that be terrible? Human heart, she used to feel that this word was strange, but now she felt very scared. It made Su Fong feel uneasy, but at the same time, she also felt very ashamed. Since she chose to believe in Lan Haicheng, why did she still have these doubts? Why did she doubt a person she believed in? This was like not believing in herself. The author's words, it's the last day of the weekend. Everyone should take the opportunity to rest. Chapter 441. After a long time, Lan Haicheng called out to Su Fong. Once she entered the formation, she seemed to have returned to normal. There was no sound inside the formation. When Su Fong spoke, the formation flickered slightly. Today, I'm looking for you to help me cultivate the divine image. You're only at the 10th layer of the undying realm. Lan Haicheng was shocked. Don't you know that the divine image can only be grasped after reaching the young infant realm? I'm already at the young infant realm, but I don't know much about the divine image. If I can grasp the divine image in a few months, won't I have a better chance of challenging Prince Shui? I also hope that you can successfully defeat Prince Shui without using any magic treasures. In fact, the biggest factor in cultivating the divine image is the young infant and the young infant realm. When you step from the undying realm to the young infant realm and pass the heavenly tribulation, your young infant will condense. After your physical body is baptized, you'll gain some mysterious control power that will fuse with your young infant. In an extremely short amount of time, you'll be able to control formations, seals, true energy, and the power of nature. Space is the divine image. Simply put, the divine image is actually a formation. However, this formation isn't like ordinary formations that can be activated by forming seals and taking out spirit stones. Ordinary formations can't reach the level of fusing with nature in an instant. After you have a young infant, your senses will surpass your physical body. You'll use your young infant to form seals and fuse with nature. In an extremely short amount of time, you'll be able to control nature's aura and fuse that aura with your young infant and seals. When you form this natural space, your physical body will combine with your divine ability to control it. Your body and young infant will fuse together, and in the end, you'll be able to control space at the speed of a breath. This is the divine image. The divine image is another kind of natural formation that cultivators can control. Lan Haicheng pointed out clearly, if you really want to cultivate the divine image, you'll have to enter my divine image. You'll have to see how to create a divine image from the void of nature, how to control, suppress, and imprison it. Once you've completely grasped the entire process and sense the flow of nature's aura, you'll have a rough outline in your heart. Seeing your sister's injuries haven't healed yet. If you use your divine image, won't it affect your recovery? The latter was worried. Seeing your sister Huang has continuously cleansed my marrow over the past few years. My physical body has mostly recovered, but there are some meridians that haven't completely healed yet. In addition to the various treasures and resources that you and I have obtained from the seven-star space, such as the undying flower, even though I haven't fully recovered yet, I will soon reach the third level of the catastrophe realm. Once I succeed, I will completely recover. The power of the seven-star child's throne is indescribable. It has allowed my cultivation speed to increase by 10 times compared to normal. Therefore, using the divine statue won't be a problem. Junior brother, get ready. Lan Haicheng appeared to be very powerful. After Su Fong finished her preparations, her divine might burst forth in an instant. She did not form any seals. This divine might shook the Su Fong so much that it fluttered. In an instant, it fell into a state of being sealed by cold air. Around the Su Fong, he could only sense the cold air, but he couldn't see any madra. After about 3 breaths, Lan Haicheng raised his hand, and Su Fong returned to normal. Junior brother, there's no need to rush. Carefully sense the changes in the surrounding natural aura, as well as the movements of my young soul. Once again, she used her great supernatural power. In order to see clearly, Su Fong used her great fulfillment ability, allowing her senses to reach the peak. Her eyes burst with an inconceivable radiance, and her hearing also completely controlled the surrounding natural aura. In an instant, she felt an infinite amount of cold air rushing towards her from all directions. Under her great fulfillment vision, everything slowed down. This was the power of a great fulfillment, especially when her vision was focused and exploded. Everything slowed down, giving her time to clearly see everything around her. First, she saw that the area within 10 feet of her was filled with cold air. Other than the cold air, in the surrounding natural aura, a large amount of natural aura wrapped around the space like waves. The natural aura was really abundant. Then, she carefully sensed the surrounding cold air. She discovered that there was divine might from the young soul in the cold air. Furthermore, the divine might transformed into a mysterious seal, which netted the cold air like a large net. Su Fong found herself in such a net. She also used her hearing ability. She could hear that the cold air was condensing with a special seal in a position that she couldn't see. It quickly merged with the surrounding natural aura, forming a cold air shackling formation. She then looked towards the source of the cold air. She could see through Lan Haicheng's mind. The Yang soul was beginning to form seals, and it emitted waves of divine might. Divine might. The large amount of divine might released by the Yang soul was linked together by the seals released by the Yang soul, forming a divine might formation. With an unstoppable force, it controlled the natural aura and the true qi released from her body. In addition to the divine might, Lan Haicheng's spiritual light was also focused on Su Fang, as well as the 10 feet of space that was controlled by her. The energy in her body also transformed into various seals. The moment it surged out of her body, Su Fang could clearly see that the seals had transformed into a divine ability that was suppressed within the 10 feet of space. She then shifted her vision to the space, forming a divine image that was 10 feet tall. The general process already proved that Lan Haicheng was right. The divine image could only be displayed by the combination of a Yang soul and the body. She then returned her perception to the divine image. Indeed, it was completely shackled by the spatial formation. She felt that most of the divine image's power came from nature. It was truly an amazing ability and divine ability. I need one more time, senior apprentice sister. Su Fang sent out a thought. The shackles of the divine image disappeared, and Su Fang found that her breathing and aura had regained freedom. She also no longer had the shackles on her divine might. Su Fang immediately used her great perfection ability. I didn't expect to discover that the divine image can't shackle my great perfection ability. Through the divine image, I can see everything outside of the divine image. Isn't the divine image supposed to shackle all cultivators? But it can't shackle a great perfection cultivator. There was also an unexpected gain. Just now, by using her great perfection ability and being in close contact with Lan Haicheng, she had probed the entire process of the divine image. She didn't expect that her great perfection ability would not be shackled by the divine image. At this moment, when Su Fang saw Lan Haicheng with her great perfection ability, she could clearly see every pore on Lan Haicheng's face. Her aura was coming from the depths of her pores. She could also see her breathing, gaze, aura, and other changes. She then looked at her mind. Because Lan Haicheng didn't put up a defense and deliberately avoided Su Fang, the great perfection ability could easily penetrate her. In her divine aperture, the young infant suddenly formed a hand seal and spewed out a torrential divine might. At the same time, the surrounding spiritual energy, which had been tranquil, once again rushed towards Su Fang's corporeal body from all directions. It seemed like there were no tracks, but if one took a closer look, they all turned into various imprint tracks under the divine might of the young infant. In the end, her body exploded with divine might and grasped the countless imprints released by the young infant. The divine image was formed in an instant. In a breath, the divine image was born from the combination of the divine image and the divine image. It was no wonder that the divine image was an ability that everyone wanted to grasp. It could shackle the enemy in an instant. Such a method was simply shocking. Everything disappeared. The process of the divine image forming time and time again flashed in Su Fang's mind. Suddenly, she was shocked. That time at the Xinjia Gate, I was suppressed by Prince Shui's gaze to the point that I couldn't resist or move. He could crush me with just one gaze. He should have also used the divine image method. Lan Haicheng's spiritual eyes were calm. Prince Shui's divine image is 100 times stronger than mine. He did use the divine image at that time, but it was only the aura of the divine image, a pure aura. If it was really the divine image, you would have been killed already. Senior sister, thank you. You can go back first. I still have to cultivate here. When there is only 1 month left in the 10 years, I will rush back to the Celestial Sealing Sect. Take care of yourself. This time, you can only win. You can't fail. If you fail, Prince Shui will do everything he can to kill you. Even if you're now a sect master, you're still far from being a venerable Tao disciple. A venerable Tao disciple is appointed by the leader, while a sect master is from the elder group. After Lan Haichen got up, she nodded slightly. Cold air rose, and she escaped from the array. Sensing that Lan Haichen was far away, Su Fang entered a state of cultivation. Not long after, Celestial Sealing Sect, the core training ground. After Lan Haicheng returned, she entered the training ground that belonged to her. It was a lush mountain surrounded by forests. When she entered the barrier and arrived at the palace, she suddenly saw a woman waiting for her in the main hall. "Senior sister, why did you suddenly come?" It was the masked Huang Lingyao. "I just received a piece of news. It's very unexpected. I want to talk to you." Huang Lingyao gestured for Lan Haicheng to sit down. She slowly walked down the stairs. "Not long ago, Prince Shui returned to the sect. I met him in the Elder Hall. His strength seemed to have increased again. Internally, I received news that Prince Shui is eyeing the Heavenly Gourd spiritual tree, the ancient spiritual tree under the Heavenly Gourd realm." Lan Haicheng was puzzled. The higher-ups revealed that Prince Shui had the idea of refining the Heavenly Gourd spiritual tree a long time ago. The Heavenly Gourd spiritual tree is a supreme existence. No one can tell when it was born. Throughout history, there have been many experts who tried to refine the Heavenly Gourd spiritual tree, but in the end, no one succeeded. But Prince Shui is different. He obtained an immortal legacy, and it's rumored that he has the power of an immortal. No matter how old the Heavenly Gourd spiritual tree is, it's just a spiritual item of the mortal world. How can it resist the power of an immortal? I'm worried that Prince Shui is very confident in taking the Heavenly Gourd spiritual tree. The Heavenly Gourd spiritual tree is just a spiritual tree. What's the use of refining it? Prince Shui wants to first refine the Heavenly Gourd spiritual tree, and then use it to control the Zhuotian realm's origin. His final goal should be to become the Zhuotian realm's realm master one day. What great ambition, realm master! I wasn't that worried before, but Prince Shui's strength has always been mysterious. After all these years, he's only at the low yang soul realm. I've seen him use his full strength, but after 1,000 years, I'm still unable to see through him. Compared to Sheng Changsheng, Prince Shui is an even greater threat to me. Right, Su Fang has already become a sect master, so he should trust you a lot. He told you just how confident he is in defeating Prince Shui. Well, I'm not too sure about that. In any case, Su Fang is very confident. Senior apprentice sister, although I've been in danger with him for a while, I don't know his true strength. Why try to rope in Su Fang? I was just a bit interested. I don't think there's anyone in the Celestial Sealing sect who thinks he could defeat Prince Shui. It's good that he loses, but if he submits to Prince Shui, begs for mercy, and ends up becoming Prince Shui's lackey, then it'll be bad for me. In the end, he'll become my enemy. At that time, I'll need you to personally eliminate him. You should be prepared. Huang Lingyao glanced at Lan Haicheng icily. Her aura was still terrifying. Senior apprentice sister, just say the word. I'll do my best. After hesitating for a moment, Lan Haicheng finally nodded. We're all women. If we don't have enough strength, we'll only be playthings for men in the future. Huang Lingyao brought Lan Haicheng away from the palace and into the mountains. Deep within the core Tao, right at this moment, a figure appeared in the palace. It was one of the 3 supreme disciples, Prince Shui. He looked at the palace, took a deep breath, and then strode in. Furthermore, they all seemed to possess spiritual energy. Exalted Man Yuezhen waved his hand. It is indeed a high-grade life, seizing recreating pill. Such a peerless treasure is not inferior to a good king grade magic artifact. You'll be able to use it in the future, so keep it for yourself. This, Prince Shui couldn't think of such a treasure and thought that Exalted Master Yuezhen would accept it. He thought to himself, as expected of the Grand Elder, such a shrewd character. He wouldn't have accepted the origin power I offered if I wasn't the Venerable One's disciple. He only accepted it reluctantly because I'm the Venerable One's disciple. He's been trapped in the Xinjia Gate for thousands of years, so he definitely doesn't lack treasures. Ordinary treasures can't move him. Senior you, this disciple's sincerity is just a token of my sincerity. I hope you can understand. All right, disciple accidentally came across a unique life-seizing recreating pill. Being able to obtain, it was also a stroke of luck. After putting away the treasure box, Prince Shue's eyes flashed with a hint of reluctance. Suddenly, he saw a unique life-seizing recreating pill appear. If Su Fong saw it, he would definitely recognize it. This life-seizing recreating pill was the peerless pill with a pill spirit that was forcefully stripped from Su Fong's body. He actually wanted to give it to Exalted Master Yuezhen. Oh, Exalted Master Yuezhen's eyes were calm as he stared at the life-seizing recreating pill. He could see a soaring aura from the pill. This is a life-seizing recreating pill with a pill spirit. Many experts and sects have specialized in refining pills into pill spirits. Since ancient times, very few have succeeded. Only a few pills that were lost in nature and, combined with the power of nature, can form a pill spirit. Moreover, it requires countless years of accumulation. Disciple has no use for this pill. This is disciple's sincerity, and I don't want it to fall into disciple's hands. I hope that senior you can display its value. He immediately took small steps forward and respectfully presented the life-seizing recreating pill to Exalted Master Yuezhen. Master will most likely feel relieved when he sees this. No one would have thought that the Grand Elder had already been suppressed by someone else. After seeing the life-seizing recreating pill and having discussed it with Su Fong, how could Exalted Master Yuezhen not know where this pill had come from? He sneered inside. After going in a big circle, this pill had finally returned to Su Fong's hands. If Prince Xuan knew that there would be a day in the future when Su Fong didn't even need to do anything, he would definitely die from anger. This Grand Elder really has sharp eyes. He only wants peerless treasures. Prince Xue finally smiled. Exalted Master Yuezhen accepted the pill and nodded. I can see that your strength is unfathomable. Prince Xue is in the 7th life-seizing level and has undergone septenary life-seizing tribulation. His cultivation base is the same as mine. Sheng Changsheng is in the 6th division of the tribulation level and has undergone septenary life-seizing. Apparently, Huang Lingyao was very willing to tell Su Fong everything she knew about Crown Prince Xue. I told you before that for the past hundreds of years, I've never seen Crown Prince Xue's true power. He acquired an immortal relic and is rumored to have the power of an immortal. Considering that he's in the 8th division of tribulation, he's very close to the peak of the tribulation level. Furthermore, it's very difficult to surpass levels in the tribulation level. For disciples of the Tao of Exalts like us, it's not easy for us to surpass 2 levels. That's because the tribulation level is different from the other levels. In the 9 transformations, life-seizing level, you have to transcend 9 heavenly tribulations. Of course, you can't surpass the power of heavenly tribulation. Elder sister, are you saying that if he uses magical treasures, he'll be even more terrifying? 9th and 10th divisions of the tribulation level? Wouldn't that make him dozens of times stronger than in Blue Sea City? How incredible! Huang Lingyao continued in a very serious tone. He acquired the legacy of an immortal legacy and obviously has a consummate magical treasure. We don't know what it is, but if he uses it, he'll definitely be able to kill any tribulation-level cultivator. That's why Prince Xue was strong enough to kill a venerated Tao disciple from the Spirit Immortal sect. That's how he dominated minor worlds. In that case, Su Fong murmured, I don't think I'll be able to defeat Prince Xue. That's enough to scare you. Didn't you want to take revenge on Crown Prince Xue? Back then, he took everything from you in front of 100,000 disciples. In the future, when those 100,000 disciples mature, you'll become the laughingstock of the entire sect. Can you still endure that? Even if I die, I'll still challenge Prince Shui. I won't take a step back. Su Fong solemnly cupped his fists, but inside he sneered. Huang Lingyao, you're deliberately trying to goad me into a dead end. You want me to challenge Prince Shui? My life isn't worth anything in your eyes, right? After asking a few more questions about Prince Shui's secrets, Su Fong put away the rune talisman. Junior brother, Yin Kaifeng had just arrived at the palace in the depths of the forest. Su Fong came out to greet him. She said, "It's been a few months since you returned to the sect. Other than the Tribulation Realm disciples and a few Yang Soul Realm disciples, most of the other disciples still don't know about your return. Even most of the Frozen Moon Grotto disciples don't know about it." "Elder sister, what do you mean?" The latter bowed. The majority of Calamity Realm disciples can only chase after it. You've been cultivating under me for dozens of years, but the missions you've carried out and the contribution points you've accumulated aren't enough to become a sect master. Forget it. Just pretend I didn't say anything. I also know that this matter concerns Xinjia. You also have a relationship with the Great Elder, so it's natural for you to become a sect master. Yin Saifeng's words were no longer as cold and arrogant as before, because the man standing in front of her was no longer the ordinary disciple she used to be. Their identities were the same, and there was something she couldn't compare to. That was, Su Fong still had a deep relationship with the three great elders. When she arrived in the air above the palace, there were already hundreds of people gathered below. Immortal Realm disciples were also constantly flying over from the surroundings. "Welcome, senior sister." The hundreds of disciples bowed together when they saw Yin Kaifeng. After landing, many people sized up Su Fong, but they didn't recognize him. Firstly, Su Fong had never appeared in the supreme, celestial heaven. Secondly, his current appearance was no longer the same as before. Even the disciples who had interacted with Su Fong before couldn't recognize him. Junior Sister Yin. At this time, two figures walked out of the main hall. They were Calamity Realm giants, a man and a woman, both very young. The woman had beautiful eyebrows and a silver bun embellished her beauty. The man was in his 30s with a square face and a heroic spirit. Not only were they Calamity Realm giants, but they were also the two sect masters of Frozen Moon Cave Heaven. Yin Kaifeng led Su Fong to the man and woman and introduced them. "Feng Yu, this is senior brother in Tai, and this is senior sister Liang Ying. Both of them have been sect masters for thousands of years, and their aptitudes are far above mine." Su Fong immediately bowed. Liang Ying and Tai weren't like the hundreds of Immortal Realm disciples behind them, who were unfamiliar with Su Fong. Instead, they seemed to have inquired about Su Fong's background before. And Tai cupped his fists and said, "Junior brother Fong, we participated in several missions in the past, such as the Myriad Treasures Path. Yes, I didn't expect Junior brother to become a sect master in just over 10 years. I especially have to congratulate Junior brother for being able to come out of the Xinjia Gate." Liang Ying also bowed. "These people should be so polite because I have the support of exalted Master Yuezhen. Otherwise, they should be disdainful that I can become a sect master with a 10th stage Immortal Realm cultivation." He understood and smiled, and wanted to return the greeting. "I'll have to trouble senior sister Li and senior brother and to take care of me in the future." Prince Shui probably wants to know more about it, and then think of a way to help the Immortal Sealing sect obtain the Xinjia Gate. Now, the Xinjia Gate is the best shortcut for disciples of the three revered Tao to become a leader. It's as Master expected. Master asked me to secretly find the whereabouts of the Purple Chi Dharma spirit. I've checked some files, but there isn't much information. Once I familiarize myself with the sect's affairs, it will be easy to find out. Master, just wait for a while. Continue being the Grand Elder. Don't show any obvious favoritism to me in front of the sect's upper echelons. This subordinate knows. I'll just treat you as a genius and value you well. Exalted Master Yuezhin was a wise old man. To be able to survive the shackles of the Xinjia Gate for thousands of years, how could he be a simple person? Rest for a few days in this day. Yin Kaifeng led Su Fang to the depths of the core Dao Hall. It happened to be the Hall of Masters where Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven's authority was the most concentrated. As soon as they entered the hall, they saw Jin Zhongkong sitting in the center. Around him were the Masters of Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven. Each of them was a high-level figure. Although they couldn't be compared to Jin Zhongkong, they were still in charge of a Grotto Heaven. Su Fang went straight to the point. After all, he was also a master. This disciple is here to challenge the revered Dao disciple, Prince Shui. Challenge Prince Shui. A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. Every master was shocked. Even Jin Zhongkong's eyebrows were raised. A few sharp vertical lines appeared on his temples. This is no small matter. We're worried that you're at the indestructible 10th stage. Isn't challenging Prince Shui the same as courting death? Master Fang, it's not easy for you to become a master. Why are you looking for trouble? Although the surrounding masters didn't have any connections with Su Fang, they were still disciples of a Grotto Heaven. They all hoped that their Grotto Heaven would become stronger. They didn't want a genius like Su Fang to fall. I've been thinking about this for 10 years. Every moment of these 10 years, I've been asking myself, do I have to carry the burden of the humiliation Prince Shui gave me at Xinjia Gate and live forever under his shadow? If that's the case, how can I achieve the supreme great Tao? Every word was filled with power. Su Fang said calmly, maybe I should give up and bow to Prince Shui. Then I'll just cultivate quietly like this. But in my eyes, that's just living an ignoble life. Therefore, I hope that the higher-ups of the Grotto Heaven will agree to my challenge to Prince Shui. Ask the elders to issue a decree. Otherwise, Prince Shui won't accept the challenge. Fang Yu, I'm afraid I can't agree to that. As an elder and in control of Frozen Moon Paradise, I have to first consider your future. I don't want to see you die at the hands of Crown Prince Shui.